Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and joining me after her absence last week is Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I just got back from helping one of my clinics move, so I'm sore and my body hurts all the places. It's really fun.
Watching you walk around the house is cracking me up all day today.
Listen, it's like one of those things that you don't realize, right, until you sit down and then you like try to get back up again and you're like, oh, okay. I've got bruises all over my body. Like, apparently I'm just a really bad mover because I bruised every part of my body, but it's fine. I'm here.
Yep. So I wanted to go see the new Mission Impossible this weekend, but I was like, well, that's out now because I'm not going to be in public with you looking like I beat you or something. So, oh, man. All right. Yeah. But we are also joined once again by Apricot Cat, a.k.a. Apricot, a.k.a. Cat. How you doing?
Hi, how are we doing?
Doing good. I'm doing good. But how about you?
Yeah, just, pumping the content and playing lots of WoW, so.
Nice. And new to the show, we have Oradar. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself, man?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Normally we do a little interview for people that are new to the show. So I was just hoping to get just a quick overview of you and what you do and your history in WoW. I just want the audience to have a little bit of an idea of who you are and how you're connected to hardcore elite and whatnot.
So I am the hunter puller for HC Elite. So
it's a big job.
I ideally get trash mobs to the raid safely. I didn't play WoW until Classic in 2019. I'm a very rare Zoomer Classic enjoyer. I've only ever played vanilla. So I've been playing since then and really just kind of love the hunter class.
That's cool.
He literally won't play any other version. I gave him Dragonflight. I offered to play Wrath with him. He will not.
Dragonflight's a little bit of a push, man. Jumping straight from Classic to Dragonflight. I had only played up to Kata, and we tried Dragonflight when it released, and I had a good time riding dragons, but boy, I was just wide-eyed the whole time. What? What's a pirate? Or no, a swashbuckler. No, pirate. I don't know. They changed, combat to something called pirate or buccaneer or something like that. I don't know what it is, but I was very confused.
I actually don't know.
Outlaw.
Swashbuckler, right?
Outlaw, that's what it is.
Outlaw, yeah.
Yes.
Pirate, buccaneer, outlaw, kind of the same.
Yeah, it came
We're
back.
Getting there somehow. That's
crazy because I do know some people that did only come back for Classic on the re-release and had never played before, but they're pretty rare.
Is that really a comeback then?
Oh, yeah.
They didn't come back. They just started.
Yeah, they started. Okay, yeah. True. It's very true.
Well, I played a couple of shall not be named servers before that.
Okay. So you were familiar with WoW. I gotcha. Cool. Yeah. We don't really, on this show, we don't really care. What you do is what you do. I don't think they can hold me accountable for it, but at least they haven't yet. All right, so guys, I'd like to start off the show by thanking the tank patrons and Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. I'd like to remind everybody we stream this show live on twitch.tv/BlazinBob, BLAZZINBOB. We're also streaming some on kick.com, same name. So definitely check that out if you're using Kick and you're not using Twitch. I'd like to remind everybody we have I guess it's not new anymore, but it's been going for a couple months now. Our Discord server, that's discord.me/Warcraft Reloaded. You can also find it by just going to warcraftreloaded.com. You can find all of our socials and everything there, so check that out. All right, we're going to go through. We got 2 voicemails, but one of them I'm going to hold until next week because it's very Wrath related. So I don't think these guys really. I just don't think they'd have much of an opinion on it, and they haven't been playing Wrath, so we're gonna save that one for next week. But we do have one for this week pertaining to hardcore. We're gonna start off with that. Then we're gonna go into just a little bit of what we've been doing. Then there's some news we're gonna cover. Not a ton really Wrath news, but I'll go ahead and just cover it briefly for you guys when we get there. Then we got some hardcore news, which is one of them's pretty interesting. And then at the end of at the last part of the show, we are going to talk to these guys about the hardcore elite Griefer wipe. Some people call it the fifth horseman wipe, or I don't know. We'll get all into it. We'll get the whole story from two people that were there, and hopefully it's a different perspective than the others you might have heard other places. So hope to do that. And yeah, with that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, I'm going to play this first email, or the first voicemail, and I want to remind everybody the number is 816-866-1066, or you can go to speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded if you don't live in the U.S. Okay, let's play it and see what you guys think.
Hello, Bob, Mel, and guests. So I have a question regarding hardcore, or rather an idea, and I want to know your thoughts. So hardcore is getting popular, aside from what drama happened this week. Anyway, so hardcore obviously doesn't just happen in Classic, by what people say. There's even a Dragonflight hardcore and Wrath as well. And I don't think it's too far to say there's probably going to be people that want to try Cataclysm hardcore whenever that may or may not happen. Anyway, so I was thinking, what about the idea of a hardcore mode? Kind of like what they do with Diablo. Hear me out. So this would be a lot of work for Blizzard, which is probably the only reason why I could say they wouldn't do it. But what if you had achievements, and titles you could get if you did this certain thing, not just in one version of the game, but each one? Say, for example, I leveled a paladin to level 60, but then I leveled a paladin on to level 80 and then 85 or 70. Maybe there could be that own individual achievement for that. And yes, I acknowledge that it's very different to level a character on Dragonflight in the other expansions in Classic, most definitely, but I still think that could, I don't know, maybe this is a little bit of a craze dream here, but bring some unity to the versions of the game, because heaven forbid, goodness knows, we could use that just a little bit to maybe quellish the fire of the rivalry between the games. But anyway, just thinking about, what do you think about something like that? If you, or even something crazy when Cataclysm comes out, level a paladin without using holy power generators or spenders, rather. It's just an idea I had, or a thought process. What do you think about something like that? And do you think Blizzard would ever do it? Or if they were to do it, how that would be? And would you guys be interested in something like that? Just kind of an idea I had. Anyway, or thought, I guess. Anyway, hope you guys have a good show. This is Mega Casual. Signing out.
Thank you for the voice, Mega. You always seem to bring up some good stuff to talk about. But first off,
they
for
kind
me,
of already did it, right, with the Iron Soul buff.
Kinda, but I want all the achievements. I want hardcore, just played hardcore 60. I want never used the auction house hardcore 60. I want never used mailbox hardcore 60. I want and I want those to be separate too. You know what I mean? I want just all of them. I want if you never fight a mob with a piece of gear on, then naked challenge achievement. I think those would be freaking awesome. But we have two hardcore crazy people here. Well, not crazy. crazy enthusiasts here. So what do you guys think?
And I just jump first, and then kind of say my piece and or go after. No offense to him, but I don't think there's a lot of rivalry between expansions. So to me, like adding the achievement system and cross-porting it out across multiple clients or whatever is really cool. I love that idea. I wish that I wish that Classic had the Wrath tab that shows you how many kills you got, how many times you died. Because how easy would it be to say, someone goes, you cheated, you've died and appealed, and you could go, no, look here, it's right here. Like, this is, like, Wrath has that nice little window. So,
I don't ever look at how many times I've died in Wrath window.
I have a 70, my hardcore 70 druid in Wrath because I just didn't like the natural progression. And I went back to look just to make sure I never died on her. And she has 0 deaths, but she's only 70. She's not 80. So I don't really think there's like any rivalry. But the thing that is interesting about that is I have been for a long time advocating the achievements across the board to the BNet account. Which,
yes, please.
Or mounts or pets as well. I really think that, especially with the progression and how much work people have put into their classic accounts, that if you were to decide to go play retail, your Zulian Tiger should go with you. Your Anzu should go with you. Your Amani Warbear should go with you. And I just don't understand why like these achievements or these things are being like kind of gate kept out of it.
Yeah, I should be able to use my 97 mounts on any of my guys.
Yeah,
I've got 3 on my other 2, on each of my other 2 guys, and then 97 on one guy, just because he's the achievement guy.
I would understand if they didn't put the retail mounts into Classic, right? It would just be like a port of that into the current.
Yeah, you can go forward, but not backward, right?
But your achievements should count because you've done it all on the same account, and so it's just it's kind of weird to me that they would keep that out. Now, I think there is this like classic elitism, which I kind of hate, where people are like, the only pure version of the game is classic. And so if you're not playing classic hardcore, you're not a real hardcore player because it's much harder to get to 60 than it is to get to 80, which is not true.
I think that is definitely there, which is weird because before hardcore, when classic first came out, it seemed like retail hated classic people and classic people hated retail people. And now we're like, well, let's just get along so that both of our games get better. But the hardcore seems like they've taken the mantle of that and that rivalry, and they're kind of now the rival, right?
I very rarely hear retail players come to my stream or get raided in and go, you play classic, I'm not watching. But very often when I raid my classic viewers into a retail streamer, people will go out of their way to say, you retail, I'm not watching. And I just think that like is kind of a very it's just a vibe that the classic community kind of has created. And
some people really kind of do it as a joke, though. I mean, I always did it as a joke.
Oh, I didn't know that you said that. I don't know.
Well, I did. I don't now. I did when I first started the show. I really hated retail, and after a lot of humbling moments where listeners wrote in and told me how wrong I was about certain systems and things, I was like, you know what? Maybe since I'm ignorant of retail, maybe I should just shut up, and stop talking about it. It was a little bit of personal growth for me.
Sure. Yeah, I think that we have literally 3 versions of the game, and one of them is more likely to align with how you enjoy playing, whether it's you really like the slow leveling grindiness and doing all the professions of like classic or hardcore, or the little more fast-paced questing and more fun like skills of Wrath, or if you want to be just like zooming all day long driving dragons and boats and having a mount at level 1 in retail, which is a thing. You can get the chauffeur and instantly have a mount. And there's for everyone. I don't know why that there needs to be a fight about it per se.
Right.
So regarding the question, though, that was asked to me, adding the cross achievement system into different modes of hardcore, whether it's retail or classic or into Wrath, I think only really would be fruitful to a super niche select amount of people that are probably achievement chasers, not hardcore enjoyers. So it wouldn't I don't think it adds content for people who enjoy the content as it is. That's my opinion anyway.
It doesn't seem to be very popular. I know people have worked up, TBC, they worked up like 1 or 2, but everybody seems to go back to vanilla for hardcore, even if they work up a Wrath hardcore character. It seems to be like a challenge for them, but then they're back to doing vanilla from what I've seen. At least the streamers. Like, it's hard for me to tell what, someone who doesn't stream does.
There is an active Wrath hardcore guild. They got Undying in Next 10. I know, it's Next 10, but I think that's really cool.
Are they the all dwarf one?
No, they're just like a group of EU people, I'm pretty sure, that have been playing together for a while, and they did it in TBC. They went into Kara. Some people lived, some people didn't, and then they went into Wrath. And I just think that's really cool. I don't have Undying. And that's Undying from 1 to 80 also.
That's crazy,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was
really
I
cool
do have
achievement.
Undying, but I died a lot before I got Undying.
Right, exactly. So.
Yeah, I have one
They kind of
character
are
that
in
got
their
it
own
3
corner.
times, and then the other 2 characters never got it once.
Ora, what was your opinion of the cross achievements, or the multi achievement?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on the multi-achievement thing, just because, I don't play those versions of the game. But to kind of piggyback off of what you said about it not mattering to the people that are actually enjoying hardcore, I think that Blizzard has an opportunity to do something cool with achievements in Classic with the Soul of Iron system. Because they do have it, they did have it before it went down on the PTR. And it only tracks boss kills right now. So it only tracks, Survivor of the Fire Lord and etc. I think they could do a lot with that buff and have it track solo self-found or certain things that could maybe be opt-in, or even just killing certain elite mobs before a specific level, kind of like how we have in the add-on now. I think that would be a really neat way to do achievements in Classic, and kind of a more friendly to Classic players way, because they're all kind of purists, right? And I kind of fall along that camp too. I don't really want achievements in the game, but I think that's
Not
a way that they could
achievements,
do
but
it.
Soul of Iron buffs.
Yeah, you could get different things along with your Soul of Iron buff, I think.
So
I don't know if
you
they'll
would
do
be
it or not.
mousing
but-
over somebody, their buff, and it would say never used the auction house, never did this, never did that. What happens if they used the auction house? Then after getting the achievement, it would disappear.
Well, yeah, you can see
it would
on
be
Soul
a
of
real
Iron,
time
you can look
achievement.
and see it'll
So
say
constant.
tarnished at level whatever the heck, right? Whenever they die.
That
And you
sounds
can
like
see
a lot
that
of work
whenever
for
they
Blizzard.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, but I'm just saying that's an interesting way they could do achievements in the game.
We're in fantasy land here, so
Well,
it's okay.
what's-
We can
Yeah,
do
Why don't
chat
they
or
they're
just-
not
anything.
going to do it regardless, right?
Why don't
So-
they just give us the achievement box? It's a system that already exists. It couldn't be that difficult to port over, would it be?
Well, and they could also
I
just
feel
like manage it down, right? It doesn't have to be the extreme amount of achievements that we have in Wrath, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking just
it could
hardcore
just
ones.
be hardcore related achievements.
Sure.
They've already got the system built in.
We
You could
have it
just
already in the add-on. They could just steal it. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone would be mad at them.
Well, and what's crazy is, so I didn't move. Okay, so when they were killing the Season of Mastery servers, they said move your characters, you can move them free. So I moved my 2 hardcore 60s that had the Soul of Iron buff. When I moved them to, I think at that time it was a TBC server. I think it was before Wrath came out. I can't remember, but either way, it was Wrath, definitely. But I pulled it up, and then I have on both characters a feat of strength achievement that doesn't give any points, but it's in the feat of strengths, and it says leveled. I forget what the exact verbiage is, but it says leveled from 1 to 60 without ever dying. So it's
You have a title too.
yeah, and I have it on both of those guys in Wrath right now. One on ATS and the other one somewhere else because I couldn't take him to Benediction. But yeah, so it's there. So I mean, why not add them in, and then then it's something that you could show off to people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool.
I guess on this same vein, I know somebody brought up in the Discord, and I don't remember who it was, so I apologize. But like having just different with the hardcore server coming out, like, do you think that going forward they could do PvP, PvE, or hardcore server selection, right? Like you just choose what type of server you go to.
So what I'm hoping is that whenever the next fresh comes out, that we get PvP, PvE, normal, RP, and then hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, I think that
And they could do that across expansions too, though, right? Like you could get like a Wrath hardcore server, right? Where maybe it's not as popular, but
well, especially with the way that they structured how that they see hardcore is literally just death equals delete, and that's really the only stipulations other than like a couple anti-boosting and like whatever changes. That would be really easy to port. You could just port the same thing right to retail as well, and then have a hardcore retail server where just don't die. Like there've been small groups of people, like was mentioned, that were doing. I know now did like a hardcore. They were trying to get like all 20 keys mythic pluses without dying and stuff, and they made their own version of even the hardcore add-on. So yeah, I mean, it seems like it would be easy enough to just say this is a permadeath server. GG.
Right. Have fun.
Yep, and I want to keep them to servers. I think that's a big deal. In Diablo, it works to just be able to choose hardcore, and that's fine. But I think in World of Warcraft, it needs to be the whole server or none of the server, because there's just too many other problems that can arise from, what do you guys call non-hardcore players?
Filthy multi-lifers.
Multi-lifers, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I'm just kidding. Softcore, yeah, multi-lifers. I don't know.
I think I got called softcore just because I worked up my 260s in Season of Mastery. And it was a bummer too, because you already had the buff to EXP, but then I was level 58 when they put the second buff in, and I was like, damn it. And that was on my solo rogue, but I made it hard. I did all the hard quests in Eastern Plaguelands to finish out, to like just make myself feel better. And then Mel and I finished like the last 12 levels with the new buff. So I was called softcore because of that, which, you know, I'm excited to do like a full one with no EXP buffs come, here come the official hardcore stuff.
The kind of, in my opinion, worst quality of WoW communities in general is just like how hard they gatekeep things based on the relative difficulty versus like what someone else has achieved. Like, for example, in retail, if you don't have AOTC ahead of the curve where you've killed the last boss on heroic, a lot of times you won't get like invites places, or if you don't have a certain gear score, like you're not going to be able to join. And part of that is, of course, like the community trying to protect themselves and be like, I am not interested in wiping continually, and I want to make sure that this is a smooth run and everyone's carrying their weight. But you could also have somebody who's just like a god at rogue, right, or whatever, and their gear score might be low, or they maybe don't have AOTC, but they do mythic on their main. It's like that a lot in Classic too, where nobody's achievement is ever legitimate. Even if you got to 60 on hardcore in Sam, I even said it as a joke earlier, like, oh, it was Sam, it was much easier, but you still did the achievement, and invalidating people's achievements is just really like a gross meta. I think people earned what they earned. Don't take that away from them.
Yeah. I mean, and like, they'll be, like I'd say this so much, but a common misconception is hardcore, like a lot of people make it to 60. The majority of people in the current rule set never make it to 60. So it's going to be neat for people to be able to achieve it, in other ways without solo self-found, like I'll still be mostly probably wanting to do solo self-found, I think, like, especially if I'm by myself, but yeah, to each their own, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and just let them do what they want to do.
Different problems on official hardcore versus our version that the community has created over the last 3 years. Like, we think that this is like a perfect solution to, everything, but I think that there's going to be plenty of people that go back to Bloodsail after the first 3 months because the griefing or the bots or whatever, and they'll be like, man, I remember the old days of hardcore where, it was on trust and people were just nice to each other and stuff like that. I don't know.
Well, I know I've talked to a lot of mods that are pretty freaking excited to not have to do appeals anymore. So you think the hardcore community would still be doing appeals on Bloodsail? Like,
we anticipate, and Aura knows some about this. I keep just talking, so I'm sorry, Aura.
I mean, we're gonna keep doing appeals for the
we
people
will.
playing on Bloodsail, yeah.
We're not, obviously
That's
there's
cool.
nothing to appeal for official, so it does cut the load down a lot. But
that's
everybody's
huge for people with bad connections too. I mean, like,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's all the mods of hardcore are not making money off of doing all this stuff. The people who write the add-on for hardcore are not making money off of it. Everyone's
They
a
should be,
volunteer.
dang it.
I know. I've really been thinking about setting up a Patreon for people if they want to see the hardcore add-on continually get updated.
They don't have a Patreon?
No.
That's such an incredible add-on. They should have a Patreon. Jeez.
I agree. They deserve something, and then whether the excess that's not used to pay the coders go to charity or whatever. I don't know how to do it right, but everyone's a volunteer, and I can honestly tell you that my name starts with the A, and I'm a mod in the hardcore Discord, and there's days I wake up to 20 to 50. Hey, can you look at my death appeal? Hey, can you look at my grief appeal? Hey, did you know you're a POS because you cheated at hardcore WoW even though you deleted your character? When you like,
Dude,
and it's exhausting. I don't get paid to do
Yeah,
this.
I mean, I'm further down the list and I get like 10 to 15 a day.
Oh my God. Dude, I people will make me a mod in Discords and I'm like, don't do that. Like, I've got a B name. Like people message me and I'm like, what are they talking? What server? They're like, oh, this server. I'm like, oh, dude, message so and so. Like, I don't even know how to. Like, I don't even know why they made me a mod. Like, probably just to have the controls or just so I could get in certain channels or something. I'm just like,
I need like a special guest.
yeah,
VIP.
yeah. Well, they put me in event staff for the hardcore challenge server. And like, I got messages from people asking me questions. I was like, message only black smoke? Like, I don't know, dude. It's like, they just asked me if I wanted to cast sometime. Like, I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, you guys do a lot of work, and I'm sure people do not appreciate it quite often. They just expect it. All right. Well, thank you for that for that voicemail. Just a reminder, the number's 816-866-1066 or speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. What have you guys been doing besides the wipe we're going to talk about later? What you guys been doing in WoW?
Yeah, sorry. I have just been leveling an alt and like basically farming consumes. If anyone's played Classic, you know how intense it is if you are farming all your own stuff, if you're not able to buy it off the auction house and stuff. There's so many buffs you can get in the world, not just world buffs, but like killing the animals for the ecos and getting fire water and getting sunflowers and wind blossoms and whippertube roots and
oh my gosh.
You're casual, you don't get boggling roots. I don't want to hear it from you.
I don't have buff space for it. But there's just like so much busy work in Classic at times. It's really obnoxious. Like I stream 40 hours a week and at least half of that time is in Nomergon, I swear. Like farming my pummelers just to be a good kitty cat.
Oh God, yeah, the pummelers.
But yeah, so between that and then leveling alts, like, it's pretty chill. When you raid 3 days a week, you have to prepare for that. And then, yeah, just time for alts and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, we're talking about good changes. Maybe they should change that to 10 uses instead of 3. make everybody's life a lot easier.
anything to make it a little bit less like mentally ill feeling.
Right.
The carousel music in there too. It's like really like gnome, sounding. It's like, oh my god, I'm going crazy.
I'm losing my mind. God.
Oh, what a world! What a world! But
I've been doing pretty much the same.
For number
Getting like
just throwing it in there. Sorry, Arador, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. I've been doing pretty much the same, just like prepping consumes. I farm a lot for the guild too, so like I have my druid perked in Ashenvale like 5 days out of the week, picking Grom's blood and stuff. I've been leveling a solo warrior, but it's like rough, man, with the amount of raid days we have. And the thing that they don't tell you is like whenever someone dies on hardcore, it's not just their gear that they lose, it's all their like consumes and shit in their bank.
Yeah.
So like
If they're playing by the rules, yeah, right?
It's tough sometimes, man.
I think bank alts are going to be weird in the new hardcore servers.
Yeah, we're using 60s as bank alts right now. Like I leveled a hardcore hunter duo with Aura after my druid got to 60, and I don't even touch her. Like she doesn't exist other than
she cannot die.
Yeah, she just lives in iron.
If my druid dies, the guild is in shambles.
Yeah.
Where do you keep them? Because I feel like Darnassus would be your safest place.
Ironforge Bank is pretty safe.
There's not really much you can kite to there.
I think
Stormwind
you
sounds
could,
crazy.
but the Ironforge guards are nuts, man. And in official, you won't be able to kite. You can't kite stuff in official anyways, so.
Yeah. That'll be nice.
Yeah, that'll be really nice.
I'm depressed. Revert it.
Toxic hunter mean.
They're reducing my class fantasy.
Cool. Yeah, I mean it's cool it's really cool on regular servers. I feel like bad for people that are getting one shot as it walks through Elwood Forest and everything. But I've said it many times, if you're a really savvy hardcore player, you're gonna have your add-on saying e, and you're gonna have like you're gonna be watching, listening, like your guild's probably going to yell out, "Hey, so and so's headed to Stormwind. You're going to get the hell out of Dodge." I mean, you should have your head on a swivel when you're playing hardcore. Like nothing should ever sneak up on you. So,
You're saying not to butt pull? This is great advice, Aura. You should listen.
I mean, it's a hunter, though, right?
Yeah,
has your pet ever pulled anything randomly?
Not a warlock, not on my hunter.
All right,
we call those huntards. My part, we call them huntards.
I feel like that was the meme, like all through Classic, and it was just like the hunter pet every time.
Hunter pet, warlock pet, just like, oh my god.
Why are we trying to skip trash, though?
Well, the worst is something wrong will happen in raid. And it immediately gets blamed on the hunters. It doesn't matter if it's actually our fault, right? We were blamed for like multi-shotting once, and it was a rogue with his bow out. Like I was pissed.
We saw an arrow fly. It was clearly a hunter.
Oh,
right?
That's great. That's great.
I usually just blame it on our warlock pet now because he has pulled a few times. Like randomly in Wrath, he'll just like sprint towards another mob, like way off in the distance, or sprint towards the boss. So now it's always his fault.
Oh, I will say, speaking of consumes for a hardcore elite, I did donate 2 black lotuses to hardcore elite when I hit level 60.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Something that I think that a lot of the community doesn't know because they're not in elite, is that like gold is basically like valueless, especially once you get your epic mount. In Somme, I was made aware that if you needed to buy a cured rugged hide or a black lotus, you would say looking to buy, and you would negotiate a gold price and the gold would change hands. But in elite, we have this like no bartering policy. It's kind of become like a meme, like, oh, that's bartering, stop like this or that. But basically like people help each other. If you need devil skin, you go with the hunter who can skin and you help them kill it so that you can get your leather. If you need herbs, then you're out with somebody, maybe you're farming eco for them so that you can trade to get these potions and stuff. There's like no gold changing hands, and it's in its own way, it's like so wholesome. It's something that's gonna absolutely not exist on official servers.
Mm-hmm.
It's an actual village, right? Like an actual small village where everybody's just doing everything for everybody, and there's not really a monetary value for that. I mean, that's why I gave it, because I wasn't going to sell them.
Right.
And I realized after I got 60 that I wasn't going to raid hardcore. I was like, just okay. I love the leveling. I mean, I am going to try and raid the start of this hardcore, but I'm also a lot more confident now than I was then. Like, hardcore makes you a better player across the board. Like, even if you play Wrath, if you get a hardcore to level 60 and you still play that same class in Wrath, you are going to be quite a bit better player overall. Like, you might not parse more, but you're going to know a lot more and know a lot more ways to get out of things. Whereas now people, rogues don't even know they have evasion when they're in raid. Like, they get attacked by a mob and they're like, healers. It's like, dude, you could have evasion. You could have vanished. You could have done all these things. You could have gouged.
They always blame the healers. Like,
but it's that's why I love hardcore, because it made me a better player overall, like by a long shot.
Even just as like a personal kind of view into that, right? I leveled a 60 druid when Classic came out, and I was in a guild on Bloodsail. I was from there originally. Called the Sentinels, and we died in raid like 5, 6, 7, 8 times in Molten Core every night. Like, not full wipes, but somebody's kid was screaming in the corner and walked away when they're healing the tank, and someone's hunter pet pulled like an extra pack of like imps or a lava surger or something like that. Like, to compare the progression that I made from that to going 1 to 60, going through enough AQ 40s to be exalted with Nazdormu, to be exalted with the ZG people, to be in Nax without a single death. I'd never had a death. I never had an appealed death. I never had a disconnect death, nothing like that. Like, that to me is like insane. I had almost 31 days. I had almost 31 days played without a single death. And I would have never in my life had that in walking into Classic. Like, even though I played vanilla, I knew a lot of it, so.
Yeah, I agree.
It does. I agree. It makes you more aware. It teaches you how to gauge a scenario. Is it run? Is it fight? You don't always make the right choice, but you at least learn.
Oh yeah, and
figure it out. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I think and it goes to like, it also, the first few deaths, you freeze, right? Like, or it might just be the first death, or it might be the second
freezes,
death.
Bob, not everybody freezes.
But a lot of people
freeze.
A lot of people freeze. Like, I froze many times, but then like, you kind of like, before you delete your character, you kind of go through like, what could I have done different? What could I have done? F's in chat was great for that too. Like, just
F's in chat.
Yeah, seeing that stuff like is huge, and like
which is like a warning for all hardcore players.
Yeah, you get better at in the moment decision making on your characters, and you make it a point to know exactly what all of your moves do, and yeah, it's just a good thing all around, and I think player awareness is probably the key of it. What have you been doing, Mel?
Absolutely nothing. I've been moving. That's all. I raided on Tuesday, and then I left town on Wednesday. So
how is Heroic TGC? TOGC. I assume that's what you're doing.
Yeah, it was good. We did have a bummer because we were gonna get 50 out of 50, but we somebody accidentally pulled on
Twins.
What was it, the twins? Yeah.
And as someone who doesn't make a lot of mistakes, so we're not giving them too much crap, but I was real upset for about 60 seconds. And then I did the whole thing that chat was doing earlier in your chat right before you raided. I said, it's just a game. It's just a game. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're having a good time. Let's, I had to remind myself not to be upset about it and, just be cool with it.
The nice opportunity is that you can try again next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very different from hardcore.
I wish I had that opportunity myself.
Yes, we get to try again next week. So there's that.
Yeah,
that's really all I've done.
I've been just doing a lot of raiding. I'm still raiding Oradar 10 and 25 on all of my guys except for my main rogue. My main rogue keeps coming in for Algalon to try and get that Comet's Trinket. And then been running TOGC. TOGC's, it's easy. Like, that's all there is to it. Like, we just went from extremely challenging content for the current landscape of classic Wrath. And, we were months in and still over 50% of the guilds logging on Warcraft logs, hadn't beat Algalon. And
is Zero Lights something that's really hard too for guilds, or is that pretty easy?
10-man, we do it every week, no matter, like in GDKPs, no matter who we have, it's easy as pie. But 25-man, it's basically comes down to your tanks. Like, your tanks really carry that fight, and if they know how to do it and don't screw up, like, it goes pretty good. But there is a big DPS check though. Like, so yeah. It's not like you're just going to be doing it with any old pug. But
is that 100% drop of Memoron's head then? If you clear that,
yeah.
Okay, so because I know like they obviously nerfed the drop rate much later on for people going back and farming old content. So it's not as rare as it probably was in original Wrath. That was insanely difficult for the average Ulduar guild to achieve.
Yeah, it was extremely rare in the original Wrath, and now you see them all over the place, and people don't even tend to use the ones that they get because it's loud and obnoxious. And so,
what's like the coolest mount to ride in Wrath? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I say for ground mount, it's the Zolian Tiger or the motorcycle. And I just think the motorcycle looks cool, and you can have somebody in your passenger seat. So that's what I think. But I think the BIS mount, ground mount, is now and has always been the Orange Tiger. And then as far as flying mounts, there's a lot that I really like, but you end up using only the 310 mounts because the mount speed doesn't go to your other mounts. But
that's right, the meta ones, right?
Yeah.
That. And there's not the purple proto drake yet. Is it not possible to have that?
We all just got that when we completed the fire festival.
Okay,
we got
cool.
the long strange trip.
That's max.
That is 310
too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a pretty mount too. I like that.
Yeah, I'm currently, my warrior is using the blue mount from Utgard Pinnacle.
I love that
just
one
because
too.
he doesn't have a 310. I'm sending both of my Oradar 10 and 25 achievements. I still need the dwarf one, and I could never talk anybody into doing it. So, like, I'm just sitting
medium
there.
Rare.
Yeah. When you cook the dwarves.
Yeah. Then no one wants to do that in retail either.
But yeah, I'm doing good. My main rogue's 5.5 gear score now. My alt rogue's 5.3, and my warrior tank's almost 5.5 prot, and his fury set's coming along. It's pretty ugly, but it's like 5.2, but 5.2 very poorly put together. So I've done a lot of gems for expertise and everything else. But yeah, that's all I've been doing. Been playing a little bit of Diablo, a little bit of Final Fantasy 16, and
how'd you like that, by the way? I've been kind of peeking 16.
I love it, dude. I love it. Oh, yes. It starts off really slow. Like, the first hour and a half is really slow, but you kind of need it for the setup. And then there's not a ton of RPG factors to it. Like, it's real kind of streamlined to the RPG thing, but the combat's really fun and the story is great so far. So yeah, I'm really liking it. And then Diablo's been fun too, but I'm playing that super casually with Mel. Like we're just about to beat the storyline. We hit level 50 like before she went out of town.
Yeah, I pretty much did the storyline too. I thought it was a great story. I even shed a little tear at the end, but I have a hard time with carrot on a stick syndrome, where if I don't go really hard into something, then I tend not to like stick to it. I don't know. Like I have a couple games I'm casually playing, but when I say casual, I do I mean real casually. So.
Yeah.
Diablo's pretty fun though. Like I've started a new
I've
character.
never played Diablo before. So
yeah, I played a little bit of 3, a lot of 2, and a lot of 1 growing up. But 3, like I was like, I put it in the real money auction house, and it just kind of flopped for me. I was like, eh. So I never played seasons and all that. So we'll see how that goes. But working up second characters in Diablo has been really fun for me, because when you first work it up, like any upgrade at the store you can't buy because it's the same amount of gold you have. You're like, what the hell is wrong with the store? But then you realize, going back on adult, it's like, I can buy everything. Like, so it's kind of funny. You get to start out with a whole bunch of extra points and stuff. And so, yeah, like a couple hours, I worked up a new character to 25, and I've got friends that had boosted me so I could get level 70 in 2 hours. But I've been just having fun playing it and just learning, how to do the different stuff. So I've been having a good time with that, but it's just been very, very casual. Like I can only have one hardcore game that I put all into, and that's classic.
I hear that, yeah.
Well, anybody else before we move on?
Yeah, we haven't heard what Ordar's been doing.
Well, we did shortly. You talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I've just
consumes.
been farming consumes and raiding, because like I do 20 men sometimes with the guild and leveling a solo warrior, but I really only play hardcore, so I don't really have that much to say, honestly.
I quick wanted to just interject this because I had thought about it before, but Bob probably raids as much as us, or Mel, like depending on how many ults you do and everything like that. But the difference between raiding in Wrath and raiding in Classic is so intense. Like, you can just go quick buy a flask and a couple haste pots and go pump in a raid, or whatever it is your personal consume is, to get a feast or a food buff, contribute, I'll throw a feast this time, whatever. That's that. No world buffs, no running around over half the continent, spending your time like getting this stat. You can just quick buy it off the auction.
Yeah, like I can log in 15 minutes before raid and be there 5 minutes before pull. Like, yeah.
Like the amount of the difference of time that it takes to play as much raids in Wrath versus Classic is staggering, and it's like, man, why am I still doing this? I've been doing this for so long.
It's actually nuts. Like, I'll do dailies, right? And I will flask food buff. I will scroll fort buff. I will drums, druid buff, and king's buff, and I'll use a scroll. And that's how I quest.
Right.
Like crazy. A freaking boss man, right?
That would have been thousands and thousands of gold to do that.
Because why not, right?
Yeah, because I mean, a flask is so 7 much gold. Yeah. And I've got
I have a quick question for you guys about the economy of like WoW in general. Do you remember right when Wrath launched and they gave people those goodie bags?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had those goodie bags for like the entirety of Nax, which made everything like so unvaluable. Do you feel like the economy was like really, you probably have covered this before, but do you feel like that was affected at all by that decision, or do you think it didn't really matter?
Alchemist,
screwed over Alchemist.
Screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were so many good pots in there and elixirs and stuff.
Yeah, and like
everything. And they weren't soulbound, so you could just send them to whoever needed them. And
stuff.
But, you could sell them like.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, you're right. It took like a year before actually evened out.
So I saved them forever, but I had thousands of mana pots, and I was like, I feel like these are going to be worth something at some point because they were selling on the auction house for less than you can vendor them, and I'm just like, people, don't you? Okay, get vendor price or get something that helps you because you're being silly right now. But like, yeah,
Wow.
they were selling for like 45 silver when you could vendor them for 450. It wasn't until I think mid Old War that they started going up to like 90 silver and a gold, and then I just washed them all, right? And now they're back down to 70, but that basically just destroyed that market for the start of the game, and they fixed it fairly quick within a couple days.
Yeah,
but so many umpteen thousands of people had already gotten umpteen thousands of them.
Dude, it was crazy. Just like the amount, like even the bag space. It was like, oh my god, another thing. Like
I had alts to hold my pots to send to myself to send to my alts because like they're hour-long elixirs, and it took me maybe 30 hours to go from 70 80 for my first run because I like didn't have like anything streamlined, and I was like RPing the whole way.
Yeah,
but like that's 30 potions. Like I didn't need that many, and
you
can't stack them.
You
can't stack them like you could in Classic. You can have one battle and one. Is it one battle and one guardian?
One battle and one guardian. Yep.
So you in Classic, if you had all those, you could be like, I want strength and an armor pen and an expertise and spirit and stam, and then you could have the whole rainbow.
Yeah, as long as it didn't overlap, right?
Yeah, but you couldn't. So there's just, I was an alchemist, and I remember receiving all these, and I was just like, what is the point of me now? Like,
yeah, alchemy really suffered.
I had it in like all through TBC. I had all of the recipes and everything, so I was really like not inclined to lose the profession. But I knew I was not going to make any money. So,
but alchemy made so much money in TBC too. Yes. Like it was like one of the biggest, money makers, and just where it would proc multiple ones, right? Like that was so huge.
Elixir spec, especially, or pot spec if you got the haste pot buff or whatever, or recipe. Yeah, I actually looted that on my. I did 2 hardcore 70s. I did a druid and a shaman, and on my druid that got the 70, I looted that recipe, and it was worth on my server. It was worth like 5,000 gold. And I just learned it because I couldn't sell it. It was hardcore. I was like, this is so weird. I'm just going to learn it. I'll never pick like the Lotus or, whatever they were called back then. But I was like,
Oh, God.
Weird financial decisions featuring.
Yeah, that is definitely weird. I forget what epic I looted an epic, and it just sat in my bags because I couldn't do anything with it. I forget what it was, though. It wasn't like one of the crazy ones. But it was a pretty dang good epic. Mm-hmm. I can't think of what it was. Oh, well. Oh, but, all right, well, do we have anything else before we move on? I think we're good, all right?
Good.
All right, let's go. Time for the news. All right, so first up, there's a new Glub Pet for Wrath. And you get it with the 6-month subscription bundle. Now, I really wish they'd put like pets and stuff in. I know Apricot feels the same way as me because we've been kind of hounding Blizzard to give us pet drops or mount drops in Wrath. Like, I don't know if pushing it onto vanilla would be the best idea. Like, but Wrath, people are fine with having pets and mounts, so like it'd be cool for us to get that, but this is just for 6 months.
Blizzard, you were saying?
Huh?
Like drops, like how they're retailed. Drops. Yeah.
Like we would love to have drops for, Wrath. Like
I'll take a picnic basket for Wrath. Honestly, like that's what they're giving out right now. So I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. I saw that. The best is when I'm streaming. You get this probably too. You're streaming and you have your own chat open, and it's like, you've just got a drop for watching the stream. And it's like, oh, thanks. Oh, man. But yeah, so just letting everybody know that is in there in the 6-month bundle. And that's all I wanted to let you guys know.
It's cute. I logged in specifically to Wrath and I disabled all my add-ons because they're all out of date. And and when I was like, look at this fish, he's so cute. So that was exciting.
There you go.
Like, it was very adorable.
Yeah, well, I just want to be like, I have over 6 months paid on both of my accounts with the WoW tokens that I bought for gold. So why don't I have it? I actually have to pay to get this, which I you know, like
crazy.
Ever since they put out the token, like basically I gave completely free now. It's almost like a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, actually, I haven't really followed up on like the effects, whether they're positive, negative, or even almost kind of cancel each other out of the WoW token. But I know that some of my friends on retail have maxed out their BattleNet account, like total, because it only lets you get so much accumulated cash, I guess.
Right.
So much they had to spend money to like use the rest of their tokens to give to like restore more balance. So yeah, so I got free expansions, pets, mounts, just because they're like, I have to spend it, and you can't cash it out, right? It just goes to Blizzard balance, and you can spend it on things. So,
well, what sucks about, and I think that's why the classic token is like at like 4.4K right now, which is crazy cheap. Like it started out at like 10K, went up to like 12K, and then just plummeted down, and it's been sitting in the 4Ks forever. And I just was like, well, I'm just gonna buy like a whole bunch of game time. But it sucks because the classic token only gets you game time. You cannot get Blizzard balance from it. So
interesting.
I think that's why the price of it keeps tanking, is because now nobody needs to buy it because everybody who had a ton of gold already has a ton of game time.
Sure.
Yeah, so like without having something to buy, like
that's just kind of just. So would you say that the token's existence isn't really affecting it much anymore?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. It hasn't affected me much at all. It hasn't affected the prices and GDKPs really at all. Like the only thing I think it's done is that the current price, I was talking to some friends, and if you just have one toon and you raid and you do like maybe 20 dailies in a week, every month you can get your game free. Like WoW is WoW Classic is now a free to play game if you just play a moderate amount. You don't even have to play a ton. If you just spend your gold on that and you don't buy extra things like mounts and stuff like that, I mean, you can just play free now, which is really cool for a lot of people. I think that part of it.
Absolutely. It's not as easy on retail to play for free because the price of the token is like, well, I don't know in the current expansion, but I know to get the amount that you needed to play for free, you really had to either play the auction house or like degen the game. So
yeah.
Well, there were a lot of people. I think that's why, there was other reasons, but I think ultimately the reason why multi-boxing became illegal is because of just how much people could farm up and have free accounts forever and everything else, like especially when the nodes you could tap as long as so they'd have 40 people tapping a node and 40 of their characters would get the resource. And so so probably like that's probably because those were the people that at least farming were making a ton of gold. And then you've got the people that sell mounts, like Mel's brother used to do that. Like their mythic group would, bring one or two people in, the last 2 months of whatever raid tier and just sell mounts. And then everybody in the guild would get it like a cut of it, like a GDKP.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd end up playing free, but I don't know a ton about it. But yeah.
I think that it's like a 50-50 with the multi-boxers, just personally. 50% of the reason that they banned automation is because of people who just did PvP with 20 mages or whatever. And then the other was like the people who were farming and getting all these resources with 20 mages and selling it all and making all this money and whatnot. And obviously there goes a lot deeper, maybe even into like RMT and stuff, especially in Classic when there wasn't like a token or official way to make money. So I don't know. That's probably a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, PvP sucked. I remember Mel and I farming early in Vanilla Classic and being in Moradon and just being like, we were walking in and there's a 5 shaman multi-boxer.
How do you live that?
We didn't. And I was so upset. I was like, Mel, we have to kill them. And there was 2 of us and we couldn't, I was like, you just run in fear. We tried multiple times, but when they could hit one button and delete you, it's just there was no resilience, nothing. I was just like,
That really does ruin the gameplay experience, doesn't it? Even just knowing you're on a PvP server and leveling an STV, that there's some 60 or 70 rogue just sitting there waiting for you to just one-shot you because they have nothing better to do. It's I guess you chose that by being on PvP, but also people play where their friends play, so it's not always that easy, I guess.
Yeah, that's, this is a huge conversation, but a lot of us chose PvP based on what we knew from the past. And what we knew from the past was the biggest server was going to be 3,500 to 4K people. And they turned out to be 12K and 13K. And the world just was never designed for that type of capacity.
Right.
So, yeah. So it was just I remember phase 2 was just horrible. And we were on a 60-40 server. So it was 65-35 at that time. But then,
were you on Benny still, or?
We were on Whitemane forever.
Oh yeah, Whitemane is Horde now, and it started as Ally Strong, right?
No, it was always Horde Strong, and then we had this guild called Spork.
I think
move
I
off.
Hearing about them.
Yeah, they moved off with Horde, and then a bunch of Alliance guilds joined, and for the longest time throughout, from AQ to Nax, Whitemane was glorious. It was 55-45, and then went to TBC, and it was slowly getting worse and worse, and it was pretty bad at 65-35, and then they killed all the dead servers, gave free transfers to wherever people wanted to go, and all of a sudden, Horde took over Whitemane, and we couldn't get to the dungeons to save our life, so we ended up having to go. But yeah, this is a whole big old conversation for a different time.
Yeah, and you're still in the news. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. There were some hot fixes. I just I'll have them in the notes for you guys. I'm not going to go over them all, but they fixed a few things. One of the things that I saw that they fixed that was really annoying is Ajold Rub and Old Kingdom Titan Rune Dungeons. I know all of you have had that thing where your tank gets web wrapped and then somebody gets one shot. People will no longer lose threat when getting web wrapped. So your tank should hold threat as long as you get them out in a decent amount of time. I think that's going to make that dungeon a lot better. Or those dungeons a lot better than they were with that mechanic where it could hit the tank. And then Twin Val'kyr's light and dark essences will no longer have their damage buff component removed by invulnerabilities. So I think that means if a paladin bubbles or you get bopped or something like that, I think you'll still keep your stacks, but I don't know what it means. So yeah. But throwing it out there, it'll be in the notes, and that's it for the Wrath news. All right, next in the news is the hardcore PTR going offline. Now they say it'll be coming back online soon, but I swore that they said it would only be down a week earlier. Do you guys remember whenever they said it was going to go down? I thought they said it was coming up a week later.
I don't think they gave any specifics, did they?
Well, it's not in this blue post, but I feel like the blue post prior, when they talked about it, laid out the timeline. I feel
like they said between the 13th to the 20th it would be down, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I feel like they said that. It was just supposed to be a week. I could be wrong there, but...
Well, maybe they realized they had to fix more.
What day did it go down? The 10th?
It went down...
The 13th.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's only been 2 days. We are fiending, aren't we? If it's to come back the 20th.
It's
So
all
you
right. We can
probably
already
are.
start complaining because we don't have confirmation.
PTR win.
But yeah, so
Did you
just
guys
let
play a lot
everybody
of the
know.
PTR?
What's that?
Did you guys play a lot of the PTR?
Kind of. We had a lot of raid during that time as well, like pushing a lot of necks and stuff. So, Aura did a bit more than me. I got to 12 and then 22, and I died. So I was kind of. There was a lot of bugs. I reported as much as I could to Egrin and to the bug reporter and whatnot. But hopefully the second test, I really hope, is going to
Go more smoothly.
yeah.
I went pretty hard on the release night. I did 1 to 20 in one sitting.
Wow.
And then I went to bed because it was late as hell. But after that, I did like another 1 to 20 run, and then that was with Kat, but I didn't go all the way up to 30. Just because we were, like Kat said, we were pushing Nax, and like between prepping for 4 raids a week, like it's kind of hard to justify spending the time on the PTR.
For sure.
Although I do think it's really important that we should have done more work in pushing. It just was really poor. It sucked for us. The Blizzard said specifically that how much people show interest in the PTR is how many servers they're going to give each region. And I
Really?
feel like based on the interest after the first day, like based on how many people we saw, we may only get 1 or 2 at best, which is 2 is probably ideal.
That seems like a
I
crazy
feel like
way to
that's
judge
not
that.
a fair way. Like PTR is
Crazy.
never as popular, right? Especially with like a hardcore character where like your investment is not dying. And like,
Right.
so who's going to go trial out a hardcore PTR, even if they're interested in playing the game, unless they're super invested in making sure that it's
I didn't even play the
good.
PTR, and I'm going to do a 24-hour stream when it opens. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I know they expected people to go to 1 to 30, which is fine, and people did, and content creators did, and other people did. Not a lot of people, but they did the Makora, which was really, really cool.
Did you do any Makuras?
I did not. So
I did 1.
Well, you're looking to
You
be so
did?
strange.
I sound like when I'm in Nomer.
Oh, dang it. I meant to do this one. Dang it.
This one sounds a lot like more mean when you say Makura.
Makura.
That's hilarious. I did the no
Wait.
one, but I meant to do the horde one.
Oradar,
That's so
you said
good.
you did one, right?
Yeah, I did 1 in Ashenvale.
Did you win?
Hunter
Who'd
is
you-
really strong.
Who'd you play? What class?
It was a rogue.
Good. I'm glad you killed the rogue.
Is Baba rogue main? Like, or I know we-
Unfortunately.
rogue mains aren't trustable.
I know. I am aware. Fitting, I guess, right?
So I don't know if they bring the server back up and it goes just kind of like the SOM servers where they let you like level or whatever, and then they gave you like the prefab 60s, or if they're going to anticipate that people are going to continue whatever characters that they got to like 20 or whatever on and see if they'll play all the way to 60. I can't personally fathom doing an entire character on the PTR hardcore
No.
just to test, just to lose it, right? Like I can
Yeah.
barely convince myself to finish my warrior right now, and it's a real character, like it's not going to be deleted,
right.
So I have no idea what they're thinking, like what their next plan of action is, because I assume they were going to bring it back up, but what's going to be different? Is it going to just be
I
less
hope they
bugs?
give us some kind of templates for like different level brackets.
And I'm hoping they're fixing certain things too. Like, but I was God. I'm a rogue man,
Oh.
but like I'm like Robin Hood, you know. I'm like a
No,
good,
you're not.
a good rogue, a good, you know,
No.
steal
I
from
have
the
a
rich,
list.
give to the poor.
I have a list of like the purest to the most corrupt classes and specs in WoW, and it's like holy priests and holy paladins, and dis priests are like at the top, like resto druids, and pretty much all druids. All druids are pure, wonderful, perfect beings. And then it's like, it's like mage and like whatever. But at the bottom is like DPS warriors and rogues. And
always.
I tricked the tank.
Plays a DPS warrior and a rogue. Can I just point that
hardcore? I've never vanished in a dungeon except to reapply cheap shot, like to help out the raid. I do understand that, there is but there are diamonds in the rough. But also though, I was a rogue made all through vanilla to Kata in
it doesn't
retail,
make it better
but
that
like,
you've been a shitty person for so long.
But I've been a whole bunch in classic. In classic,
so you've just
warrior,
been a shitty person since the beginning.
Warlock, then
you're
rogue.
coming back to your roots. So you're not saving yourself here. I feel like you're just harming your reputation.
He's using his hardcore skills to help his team survive, though. So I appreciate that.
That's because he plays with his wife. And if he lets his wife die, then she'll murder him in his sleep.
Yeah, no.
Interesting thought.
Yeah, I only play with you on the druid. I did all the dungeons on the rogue.
Oh,
never let your spouse die. All right, I wrote it down.
Yeah. He did let me die once. He froze when he went to the bathroom and had to unfollow.
Then when I ran back, I froze.
Oh, I remember.
You remember seeing that on F's?
I saw that clip. I think that was the first time I ever heard of you, because I was new to the whole meeting other content creators of WoW sort of situation. Yeah, I remember that clip. Holy cats!
Yeah, it was fun.
It was just
great fun.
The worst is she died and then I was still alive and I was like, I just want to see. And I went in as Bear and took out the pack without her there. And I was like, I could have saved her. Yeah, I switched to cat when I got back to the computer. I was like, what? And I just froze.
No. He came back to the computer and went like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're dying. You can't just stand there and look at the screen.
In that clip when he was gone, were you like, Bob?
Yes. Yes.
I'm
like, no, it was more like, yeah, I was very angry. Fine.
We go again, right?
Yep. That was level 35. We had the Swift Pot. We had so many good things on that one. I had the hammer from freaking Dead Mines. Oh,
nice.
It was my druid, my special druid. And we had the gnome pet. We had the gnome pet, the little Christmas gnome
Christmas
pet.
Gnome.
And Christmas
was
over.
The saddest.
So we couldn't get that pet again.
Yeah. He came with us everywhere. But
we went back to our chickens.
I feel like the more and more times we would die, every time Bob would be like, we're not doing professions at all. We're not spending our time on these stupid professions. And I was like, but they help us, Bob. They help us not to die. And he's like, no, because then we just die and we waste all of this stuff that we've done. And I'm like, it is kind of like this catch-22, right? It's like you can spend the time on working up your professions as you're leveling. And then if you die, you lose all of that. Because I think we had so much stuff in our bags and in our bank to make more pots and make more different things for ourselves. But I like professions.
You and I are the same, Mel, and Aura and Bob are the same. Aura's team, no professions while leveling.
If you're doing it solo, fine, right? But if you're doing a duo and you have to be online at the same time, I'd just be sitting there fishing in Ironforge, or not even. You couldn't even fish in Ironforge then. So I'd just be in Stormwood fishing, and it'd just be like, "Okay, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet?"
You can meet some of the most important people in your life just from fishing. I swear.
Yeah.
No, professions are always the time while leveling.
Shut up, Aura. I made him do.
It's actually
sitting and those are okay. Get you some money early on.
You first aid and you get your 10 cooking skill points so that you can get the cooking quests and you're fucking done. It's so worthless.
No, it's so enjoyable to have a pot to
flower,
pop
I
when you
need
need
it. Flower,
it.
I
or-
would recommend anybody
that
starting
drives
out new.
Bobby crazy. He's
What?
like, when I go herb, and I'm like, he's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I gotta get this flower over here. And he's
Flower, I
like, do you
need
even, it's like, do you even need that flower anymore? And I'm like, I don't know,
Yes.
but it's a yellow dot on my screen, and I might need it for something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when she goes to the bathroom, I run in and turn off Find Herbs. Takes her a while before she figures it out.
Advanced trolling techniques. I love that.
Right?
I hate it, but I love it. Very smart. Very
God.
Oh
smart.
man, it's
I'm
just
sure
well.
Aura do the same thing.
I
too.
do recommend anybody starting out new do professions, like do herbalism, and I would recommend herbalism and alchemy. Just like if you're new, like it will make your run easier. But if you're not new, I feel like it's something, you do the first time and then you're like, yeah.
That's your opinion. You're welcome to it.
It's your opinion and it stinks.
Herbalism, alchemy, and NG mining are like acceptable. Like I won't flame people for that, but like I see someone doing leatherworking, I'm like, you have no idea how much time you're wasting.
What if it's a druid that wants to raid though? Do you know
Just
what I mean?
do it at 60. Like go do it when you have a 60% mount and like or 100% mount, right? Like
I mean, I did that a lot. Like on my final rogue that I did, I was skinning in herbalism till like level 25. And then at that point, I had all the herbs in my bank. And then I just like dropped skinning. Might have been level 20, but I dropped skinning and then just worked up herbalism with everything that I had. And then
alchemy, you mean?
Money.
Yeah, alchemy. But I kept all the herbalism stuff as I went along, so it was like an easy thing at that point. But
Yeah, you had all that extra cash too, so you could train. That's nice. From selling the skins, I'm sure.
Yep, the skins are huge early on. Like it's a lot of extra dough, and people, so many people don't take skinning, and you're just like, it kind of sucks.
I did skinning one time.
Yeah, catch 22,
and it's
right?
It's like, oh my god, there's 82 mobs to skin right here because people are killing everything.
You're like, but I gotta do it.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next piece of news is super interesting to me, and I feel like it's not hardcore related because I don't think any real PvP is going to be really all that involved in hardcore, but they're doing a classic era new PvP system, which sounds crazy to me because that makes it sound like this has to be going on for a new season of Mastery, or else why would they put all this time in? But maybe the PvP in era is big enough to where they could do seasons. I don't know. We're getting ahead of, but basically they're changing the old PvP system to be more of a linear route up. And you're basically like not going to have to no life it to move up. It's going to be like the amount to move from, private to rank 2 is going to be like a set amount set by Blizzard. I couldn't really understand exactly how they're going to get that set amount, but basically they're saying with the system they're setting up, there's going to be like a cap on what you can get every week. And it's like currently set for, you can get rank 14 in 8 weeks. So
it sounds like that it's still a lot of battlegrounds, just not.
Yeah, I think they said
16 hours a day of them.
It was like 750k honor cap or something.
Yeah, so like I mean, to get it all at once is still going to be a lot to do, but it's something where you're not going to have to work with people on your server to set a certain amount
bracket, yeah.
You're not gonna have to set the bracket. It's all gonna be handled Blizzard side rather than us. And
yeah,
I don't know, how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's nice for the casual person. I think that
I still don't think a casual person's gonna get it though.
No, but I just more mean, I think that like 18, 20 hours a day video game degeneracy is like insanely unhealthy, and I'm pot calling kettle black sometimes, But like the older I get, the harder it is to stay in this chair for that many hours. It's just like it. First of all, it hurts, but like
you need to get a standing. You need to get a desk that goes up and down. That's what I've got. Like I'm standing now.
Does your camera like bounce all over the place when you're moving though? Like I feel like I would knock it over. I'm clumsy as heck, so.
No, it's. I mean, it was like a $600 table, but like, it's. You don't want to get one of the ones that isn't motorized. You'll never use it if you have to like have a friend help you move it up and down, right? But if you get it motorized, like you'll see here, see, I'm not moving, but the table is.
Wow, he's disappearing. Wait, no, he's becoming larger. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Your camera seems stable too. I assume it's on your desk?
Nope, it's on my monitor.
Gotcha.
But the monitors are all on what's it called? Like they're not actually sitting on the desk. Are
they like mounted arms or whatever?
Yeah. They're all three monitors are on an arm. It's a pretty like sturdy arm.
One of my monitors is on an upside down crock pot. We make it work how we do. I do not have a professional gaming setup. I have
full-time streamer, by the way.
I am a full-time streamer, and I have most of the same equipment that I started with, other than the computer. I used to stream and raid from a laptop. So,
oh my
all
gosh,
good.
that's great.
All good.
That's
make it up
great.
for the epic background.
Yeah, I mean, like, it seems cool. Like, I always thought it'd be cool to do that ranking system, but like it just like there were so many people that got to like rank 11 and 12 and just stuck there and like just didn't ever try the other push, because you really do like one of the best videos Mad Season ever did was the one where he chronicled how he went to rank 14, and that sounded horrible. And I have like we had two people in our guild that got rank 14, and they were so burned out when they got it. They like got their new weapons and they didn't even want to come raid for the next 2 weeks. Like it's like, dude, you just got the weapons. It's like, come on. And it's just
the
too
comment
much.
that I heard from literally every person I've ever asked about getting Grand Marshal, right, or whatever the horde version of it is yeah, it sucked. It was cool to do once, but I would never do it again. And I think that's kind of like the same thing as like the Scarab Lord grind too, right? Like a lot of people that did it. Like, I'm glad I did it. It was cool. I can't convince me to do it again. And that's not even as bad as rank 14.
Well, it depends on what you enjoy. Yeah, it depends on what you enjoy, right?
Right.
And it's also like Scarab Lord is split across like an entire guild investment as opposed to
personal time and investment. I just think the rank 14 is a lot more of a time sink than, because most people had Scarab Lord within a week or 2 weeks, depending on the server they were on, right? They like had all the stuff farmed. They had to play every day for hours for 14, 16 hours, whatever, for that 2 weeks or whatever. But it's not the same, because I'm pretty sure most of the people who got rank 14 like early in Classic, that took a couple months, didn't it? That nobody was like rank 14 instantly.
Well, you couldn't even start it until phase 2 came out.
Phase 2, that's right.
And then you weren't trying to think, like, were there battlegrounds before phase 2?
I don't think there were battlegrounds.
There was only world PvP at first, which is what caused.
Yeah, and they opened the battlegrounds early. Yeah, that's how we got phase 2.5, right? Yeah, because it was so bad that they were just like, we're opening up BGs. Please go in there and stop killing everybody on your server.
Yeah, they had their hand forced kind of in a way, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, yeah,
it's a positive change, IMO.
I think so too.
For what reason is really interesting.
Yeah, I think like protecting players from themselves is an underrated part of game design.
Right, because there are people who will have no self-control and just literally degen to the point of illness, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there. I don't want to say it because I never looked into it to make sure it was true, but supposedly somebody was either hospitalized and or died during the rank 14 grind, but I never looked into it, so I don't really want to say that just because like I don't know that it's true. But I know for sure people were hospitalized from it. So
I mean, you have to kind of imagine that the average WoW player, especially playing Classic, isn't necessarily like a fit, like young person whose heart isn't like slightly weak already, you know, like.
And everybody forgets to hydrate and everything else too.
Yeah, and you don't get up right. So you're sitting for 18 hours. You maybe probably didn't eat very much, or you ate too much, like unhealthy delivered food, whatever it is, like that. You know. I feel it, man. There's when I sit for an 18-hour stream in front of these lights, like doing a streamathon or whatever, like it's a lot. It's exhausting, and you feel just kind of like icky by the end.
Yeah, like talking to chat and everything else, and just like oh shit, it's the 17th time I've answered that today. But hey, Kay, you probably didn't hear. I should make a command to answer this, dang it. You know, like
right.
Yeah, streaming's a lot. All right, well, yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. It'll be interesting to see how it goes and how the testing goes. I'll be interested to see the feedback that comes back. Anybody, you know, comments on the YouTube, or, you know, send us a voicemail or write in what you think. And yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But without further ado, that's going to move us on to
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, guys. So for this segment, we're going to go over what happened to Hardcore Elite and the Griefer that wiped the raid. It's a crazy story of just how far someone was willing to go to eventually have a gotcha moment, you know, or at least that's how I perceive it so far. I've listened to the interview with Stay Safe, and I've listened to just a whole bunch of stuff on it. I, you know, heard some of Calamity's thoughts. I've heard a lot of different stuff on it, but this isn't about me. This is about Aprikit and Oradar, and they were in the raid. This is their story, and this is their, like, this is, you know, from them. So hopefully it's something that, you know, is different from what you guys have seen other places, and you can get a different perspective on something that's freaking crazy. So real quickly, before we like get to the story, can for anybody who doesn't know, because we've done hardcore stuff and we've mentioned Hardcore Elite a lot, but I don't think we've really went over the history and story in one concise thing. We've always just talked about what they're doing recently, where they're going new, what new challenge they're going to try to do. So why don't one or both of you kind of give us just like an explanation of Hardcore Elite and what the guild's about and what the guild has done?
So HC Elite started during the Road to Rag event back on Somme. This is a guild that formed, obviously, to kill Rag with one life. And after Rag died, there were some people that wanted to keep playing afterwards. There weren't that many, but there were a few. So they kind of... There wasn't a lot of raid content that could be done for a long time because BWL and Ani were kind of non-starters with that like low of a player base, but there were a lot of people
the
that...
Somme mechanics, right?
Yeah, it's like some mechanics,
difficult.
and it's like very difficult to do that on hardcore. But ZG came out, and they didn't do any changes to ZG, and ZG was very doable with kind of the player base. So there were a lot of people from HC Elite on Somme that played, literally just raided ZG every week for like months on end, basically, just because we enjoyed playing in-game classic WoW with one life. And it kind of got...
not a joke. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could kill you real easy there.
For sure. Especially in Somme without world buffs, right?
Yep.
Did either of you ever lose a character in ZG?
Not in ZG, no.
I played it on I lost my first hardcore Psalm character 60 within an hour of hitting 60, and then I ran it back and I got it. But by that time, I was EU even. Nobody was really playing, and I did one ZG. And someone in our raid died to Mandakir when we killed him. So he does the gaze, and then if you press a button, he one shots you basically. So
yeah,
somebody in our raid died to that, but I didn't die. I just stayed back.
Yeah.
But we did that, and then there was kind of a resurgence recently whenever, I think it was November of last year. It was kind of a lull in content, I think. Like, it was after Dragonflight launched, and our Guildmaster Calamity kind of pinged the Discord and was like, hey, we're going to start a movement and start playing again and try to kill Rag on era servers. So some of us transferred our Psalm characters over to Bloodsail and continued playing on them, and then other people leveled new ones on era. There was the Road to Azurgos event, and we've just kind of been progressing the raids since then, going through Molten Core and BWL and even AQ40 and a lot of Nax. And it's been like a pretty incredible journey to see such like what used to be a small community where we would run 8-man Lower Blackrock Spires on Friday nights, like trying to scrap enough people together to do that. And now there's 1,000 people in the guild, and we had to make a second guild to accommodate them. It's kind of crazy the amount that it's blown up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have been so when you came back, that's when you guys started doing AQ and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, before like the only thing that was killed in some, did Ani die in some?
We killed Ani and Som. It was like in April, I think.
So Ragnaros, Onyxia, and then CG, right?
Azure Ghosts and Isandra as well.
Oh, okay. So and a couple of world bosses. So everything that has happened progression-wise has happened since like the second callback, the second like we're gonna try this again, but on our home server where we came from.
Okay. Damn, I didn't even. That's kind of a bummer. Like, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I guess I had already moved my character's office on, but I wish I would have moved one of them back to Bloodsail. I never even thought about that when the trans first came up, and I was like, oh, we'll move this to Wrath, but.
Yeah, there were some people that like got their characters stuck on Wrath, which sucked. It was kind of lucky. People that were lazy kind of got paid off there because you still had them sitting there and you could transfer to Bloodsail.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, well, maybe we should just get the story out. So let me set you up. Like, you guys don't know if this was your first attempt at Four Horse? I think it was your first attempt, right?
Yep, that was our first night in Military Wing.
Okay, so you guys are gonna attempt four horsemen. You guys are getting ready. Give me the story. Let's go through the story, then we can maybe break it down afterwards.
I mean, there's not too much of a story, honestly. It's just.
Do you want me to give the story and maybe you guys correct me if I'm wrong?
You can if you'd like, honestly.
Okay, so they're getting ready for the poll. They've been going over, it's been 30 minutes of explanation, questions, working out what's going to happen, yada, yada, yada.
Where?
Yeah. So it's definitely been plenty of talk about what's going on. I've heard a lot of people say it was rushed, but from my outside looking in, it didn't look like it was rushed at all. It looked like probably there were some people that were like, "Come on, let's go."
I was like that for sure. I've done this 1,000 times. Let's go.
The progression itself was a little bit rushed. Like
getting to that part.
Yeah, getting there was rushed a little bit just because we saw ourselves as on a timer. We're kind of racing against official coming out, and we wanted to kill KT before that happened. But the actual like preparation, I don't think was rushed at all.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys get in there and you pull, and then the one guy, Teeny Violin or something, has both tank Zaliak in the corner and does not.
Oh my gosh, Mel.
What?
Sorry, your mom just butt dialed me, so I was scared it was something really important, so I went and answered it.
Oh.
But yeah,
I was like, what? Did I ruin the story?
She's just watching TV. No, okay, so all right, go ahead. Yeah, we'll let you go.
No, it's fine. You got this. Keep going.
All right, so yeah, so just to clarify something I haven't heard in any video, did you guys have 8 tanks set up for the fight like we used to do it back in vanilla? So like we had the 4 tanks.
No, I think we had 7. We had 7 because we were burning things.
You're gonna burn.
You don't need a relief tank.
There was backups though. Remember how there was supposed to be like a 3rd tank just in case of emergency?
I mean, there were like relief tanks, but right. I think I could check the assignments honestly.
Okay, so I was just curious if there was, because yeah, that's how we did it before. It was like a big old rotation thing, and like you're basically 2 tanks for each boss. So it like I guess if we were burning, yeah, I guess it was 7. I don't know why I was thinking 8. I think we
had
8.
7 tanks total, like set up on this sheet.
Okay, so the Griefer was set to take Ziliak, and so basically at the start of the fight, all the tanks are supposed to go in, grab aggro on their mob, and then take them to the 4 corners. Okay, so what happened here is Griefer guy went up and grabbed Ziliak, and kind of like, from what I saw, looked like he was kind of pretending to like be struggling with it, or like trying to make it like look like he was
like
trying.
He started going to the right
he
corner.
was moving him to the right corner. Then he moved him back. Then he like was kind of going back and forth. Maybe in his head he was like, "Do I really want to do this?" type of deal. But either way.
I think somebody else taunted off after he started going back to the wrong corner. I think somebody else, and I could be wrong, but I think somebody else taunted off and he taunted it back.
That is correct.
Yep.
And then he gets even closer, and then he mocking blows it to make sure that it's on him too. But yeah, he basically pulls Sir Ziliak. I don't know why I can't say this name. Over, and Ziliak has a mechanic that is basically a never-ending chain lightning that grows each time it jumps to a new target. So it basically doubles. So it'll be like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, or 2,000, 4,000, 8,000. Yeah, basically. And it can chain to as many people who are close. So he pulls it over to the boss that everybody's trying to burn at the start, and it instantly just like boom kills like half of the raid right there, and then
3/4 of the raid, I think, to be honest.
So I was one of the lowest hit for that got one shot. I got hit for 16k, which my health was probably around 12, and then our main tank probably got the most. And what was that number, Fora?
Fora took a moderate here. Let me I'll look up the log because it actually capped out the amount of damage like the API couldn't process.
It couldn't even.
It's just like, you're dead. It's fine.
Well, just to remind everybody, because there's a lot of Wrath listeners here, a lot of hardcore ones too, but remind us, I think like the average health was like 2k, or is that even higher than, is that even 2K? Too high in vanilla? Or was 2K TBC?
Classic?
Yeah. In vanilla, what's the average like health pool?
60, you probably had 3 to 4 generously, depending if you're
3 to 4. Okay.
Yeah,
our tanks, I think our tanks had though like what 14k almost.
like 12, 13, 14.
I was looking at the bear. Sorry.
Yeah, the bear had a lot more. I had as a hunter that wasn't even gearing for stam. I had like 11k fully buffed.
But we use every stam buff also in the entire
that's
game.
true.
That's the priority of hardcore, right?
So you guys are flasking for stab.
Correct.
Yeah, we all have Titans.
Yeah, Titans was a huge jump too.
Fora took 536 million damage from the beam.
He should have had a food buff.
Right?
Yeah, just casually 36,000 times your max HP, right? Like,
wow. So that's the start of it.
Okay, so hold on. So then during that time though, on the Griefer stream, he was acting like he didn't mean to do it and that it wasn't his fault, right?
That was the attitude that he.
That's the attitude, but it's very clear. Like,
well, and he also
even that he just recently admitted it on Stay Safe stream, right? But it's also very clear. Like, Teeny is not a bad player. He runs the raid every week, right? Like he very clearly knew what he was doing.
Did you guys have any idea or any like thought that this might happen with him, or was it a complete surprise?
We knew that he's like, obviously he like dispelled in Classic and stuff.
I actually didn't know that. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know.
Hold that thought really quick, because I want to get into this really bad, but I want to finish the story out so that people understand, because people don't understand how, because 37, is that correct? 37 people were wiped.
34 people.
34. Okay.
34. 6 healers lived.
Yeah, so, all of the healers assigned to the Ziliac side lived.
So a lot of people don't understand, because there was a lot of Petri Flask usage. So a lot of people don't understand how, like, after that initial, like the initial chain lightning, why didn't everybody else survive? So why don't you tell the listeners about that? Like, why did Petri Flask not work for a lot of people?
So Sir Ziliac's beam, the one that killed most people, you can Petri that. If we were looking at DBM timers or just like more aware, you could have pre-Petried that beam. And a couple of people did. But the marks that the Horsemen give you, which is like kind of the main mechanic of the fight, where whenever you're near a horse, it gives you a mark that deals, cascading shadow damage as it goes up in number. Those go through invulnerabilities, so that includes like Paladin Bubble, that includes Light of Elune, that includes Lip, and it also includes Petri. Well, I guess Lip is physical, but basically it goes goes through immunities and invulnerabilities, and there's specific boss abilities that go through things like that. Like Fairlina's Rain of Fire goes through invulnerabilities. So the marks do that. And obviously the horses are out of position, so you're getting multiple marks. And the Ghetto Hurt timer, which is the way that you get out of the instance in Petri Flask, is 60 seconds, which is more than enough time for you to get too many marks to die.
Yeah, it was like a slow burn there at the end for the people that survived.
Yeah.
But most of the people just died instantly.
Yeah.
No answer.
Yeah, I saw on my minimap, like, I just see the Ziliac tank walking over, and nothing I can do, like, fuck.
Was it you that said, he's just griefing? I heard somebody say that.
No, that was Fora, our main tank.
Yeah,
he probably realized it.
No, Fora instantly, he was like, wait, are you actually? And then he just said, okay, this guy's trolling, like.
Okay, cool. Now I want to get into Mel's question. So, yeah, he was, like, I guess a lot of people did know that he was a dispeller in Classic. And, like, when I heard that, I was just like, I personally would have never let him into the guild and never really wanted to talk to him, because I thought that was literally the most despicable thing in vanilla that you could do. And just any person that would do that, I feel like just is not the type of person I would ever want to hang out with. Like somebody who would literally just like stay and wait to res to just purge somebody of their world buffs. Like it's not even PvP. Like if I loved the stuff where 40 on 40 would go at it at a entrance of a raid, like, and the loser would lose their buffs. But like dispelling, I just thought Blizzard should have fixed that right off the bat. But you guys brought him in. Was there any, because from what I heard, there was like worry that he was going to wipe the raid, like almost as if like some people were expecting it. Like when Calamity even said it, it sounded like she was like, oh, he actually did it. Like she had heard.
Those words, didn't she? She's like, he's doing the thing. He's actually doing it.
Yeah, like it was a joke or something that they thought, he was just joking. But she was like, oh shit, he actually did it.
Yeah, there was concern, especially like among leadership, and we were very cautious, like bringing it into our first G40 mans. And kind of our thought process was like, he's been raiding with us since we started BWL, right? So he did Veil Straws with us as a DPS, and that's obviously a fight. Like, if he wanted to, he could have clicked off salve and killed quite a few people on that fight. He progressed through all of VWL with us. He could have taunted one of the Drakes and moved it into the raid and killed people that way, because Shadow Flame is another one of those abilities that the dot on Shadow Flame doesn't...
Can't be petried off.
Yeah, you can't petri it off. You have to petri the initial hit or you'll die.
There's just a lot of opportunities for him to grieve.
Yeah, like he progged through AQ40 with us, right? He could have chained the Cthulhu I-beam, but... Did
that ever happen to you guys, by the way? Somebody peeked into Cthulhu and chained everybody?
No, it never happened to us, but we were always very aware of it.
Yeah.
Lots of the people in our guild had done it back in the day, too. So we never actually had it happen to us, but we were always really we over-explained every time we started that. So
right.
We died in other ways though on Cthulhu.
So I guess regardless of his, go ahead, Apricot.
I'm not here to feign innocence by any means. First of all, this was the first time I heard that he was a world buff dispeller, which to me, no offense, is not that egregious. I think that if you're on a PvP server and you want to parse and you want to raid, you're probably on the wrong server. That's why there's different servers, and that's just how I feel. People play where their friends are.
You're fine. I still just want to wring their necks.
It's really pathetic, I think.
Yes,
that people
exactly.
Are I can't wait to ruin people's fun.
Pathetic is the word I'm looking for.
But I actually had kind of what I felt like a amicable friendship with TD. Sometimes, when Loot would go somewhere, we would talk about it, and he'd be like, "Oh, you're a good feral druid," and I have a soft spot for ferals, and I would watch his streams and stuff, and he seemed like just the classic WoW, shut in that didn't have good social skills and was kind of just more or less kind of the average hardcore WoW warrior.
Mm-hmm.
No offense, warriors. Warriors. So it was. I wouldn't say I was shocked because there was always the memes and whatever, but there was memes about everyone. There's memes about Oradar wiping the raid because he didn't get this, that, or the other, or over pulling, or and I don't know. I
messed up 2 times in 6 months, and I never hear the end of it, man.
I don't know. You killed Josito Jones, the beloved, famous holy priest. So,
so wasn't he mad about loot of some kind? I do remember
he would
meme
something about certain loot, but that was I don't know if he mentioned. I don't know what he mentioned specifically, but there was a long time even as we were going into AQ40, where our loot, we didn't do a loot council. We were completely free roll for a pretty long time. So it's kind of
was proud was tank gear, not healer gear, not class specific. If it was just whether you were a brand new hunter or the hunter who's been there for 6 months, they had equal shot on rolling on gear or weapons or anything. And Aura and I pushed really hard for a loot council to at least get things
where they needed to be to help the raid.
Even if people are dying, which is so hard because you give Like I had a DFT. That's a really rare trinket, especially for a kitty druid to have. Like me dying with that is a giant detriment to the entire guild. People dying with BIS pieces. You know, someone had ATS shards, and now like technically those are would be gone in a way as well. So we pushed for loot council and we got it, but loot council is never perfect either, because there's always people who underperform or get forgotten, or maybe haven't gotten gear in a few weeks and they feel really slighted or feel really entitled because they're the top parser and they're the best warrior, and if they don't get this, that, or the other, that
Yo, Bald deserved kiss though, no cap. On
he
God.
got kiss. Yeah,
He did. He deserved everything.
I'm just
Castigator
saying,
for Bald. That's my goal.
It doesn't matter. It's just you can't make 40 people happy when 2 pieces of loot drop off a boss. That's the biggest problem of Classic, is there's not enough loot for how much effort.
Sometimes people feel slighted because they're not getting gear, and it's like the pieces that you should get aren't dropping, so we can't.
Yeah, we can't do anything.
Message a GM, right? Like, fuck.
I do feel like loot council. Like, I'm just thinking of this, but like it could like be a really bad thing for a hardcore guild because of the power that each and every person has in wiping. Like, because
but I also feel like
people get butthurt.
It's such a necessary thing for a hardcore guild too, though. At the same time, right?
GP in a hardcore guild, and I think that system would work really good because that
rewards
rewards farming outside of raid too.
The reason EPGP or DKP won't work in hardcore is because physical, who are the top of the meters, need weapons, and they save and they spend all of their points on that, but then they also need tier and off pieces and everything like that. That's where I was in a DKP EPGP system for a long time before.
Well, EPGP wouldn't allow them to save up. They'd be wasting time. You know what I mean?
Correct. But they still are spending their gear points on weapons. Whereas, like, as a druid main, I got all the little, like, like rings and stuff because I didn't have a big weapon to save for, right? So in a hardcore scenario, that wouldn't work because you want to put the weapons and the gear into the hands of the people that are going to do the most damage. The faster it dies, the less deadly a boss is in Classic, right? You don't want Rag to submerge. So you can't do EPGP or DKP, unfortunately.
I think in a perfect world where people weren't people and we were AIs that thought rationally and, thought for the good of the hive, right? Like loot council is definitely the best. But when you're in an environment where one person could potentially wipe your whole hardcore raid, it's a scary thing to like piss off people. And like people get pissed off all the time and like they get over it after a week or two, right? But like, what if they're pissed off and in the moment and they kill everybody, or kill a few people? That's where I see the problem with it.
I know, but it would, even in DKP or EPGP, I've never been in a guild that didn't have loot drama, no matter what system you're on.
Right.
Definitely.
It's true. You never escape it. That you could literally have people be like, I'm so mad that my TOGC weapon isn't dropping and I'm pissed. And it's like, well, you can't help that it didn't drop. Like it could be
free roll where they roll on need on every item and they never get it and they're pissed off because somebody's working against them. Right.
So it's a major problem to the system of hardcore is that people have emotions, God forbid. But the community of hardcore feels like a very emotionally mature community in a lot of ways. Like you could be upset, like you said, and then like whatever, you didn't win it, or the person who won it last week died. That happened to me multiple times. I lost very major pieces and then those people would die. And it was like, well, what good was that? I'm still alive. Right. I should have those pieces. But it's never that important to win a pixel or to like prove a point that I'm a good player to waste 30,000 or more hours of people's life.
Right.
And I was so impressed listening to Calamity's Discord chat afterwards, just listening to all the people in the guild being like, hey, we got really far. Like this was a really good time. This was, it was so really positive, right?
Specifically,
it was what?
If you noticed after the death, I have a like clip. The silence in the shock. People weren't like popping off, like calling them slurs.
I expected more raging.
Yes, absolutely. And there was just like the silence of shock, and the like Fora said, like, you're a douchebag, which is a very acceptable feeling. Like,
yeah,
he didn't say anything really that mean.
I mean, I feel like it's not even an opinion. I think everybody thinks he's a douchebag.
Well, no, not everybody does. That's kind of the problem.
I feel like even the people that like that he did it still, in their mind, they know that he's a douchebag. Like they like seeing what he just did, but like they still say, I would never hang out with that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I still think they think he's a douche.
That too. Like, and the crazy thing is that there's people that work with Blizzard directly that are still like raiding with him and whatnot, and I just think that's really weird. So
it is really weird. He brought up. So like, he claims, and you know, I don't know if you guys like. I don't know. I have no idea. He could be making everything up, but he claims that he did it for the good of hardcore because people were cheating and people were doing wrong things, and he was going to make it right. He was going to take that mantle and be hated by all because he did the good thing. Is this bullshit?
It's funny because he's the cheater. That's the funny part.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean,
he called it Judgment Day.
So there is like a lot of what we do is on the honor system, right? Because the hardcore add-on is very easily, like, you just turn it off. A lot of people at 60 don't use it, right?
Yeah, because you no longer have to be verified at that point, right? Like to get on the wall of fame or whatever.
Like there is kind of a lot of an honor system, but there's also like people would know if all of a sudden I see someone who's like been around for a week and a half and they have full consumes and they're flasking for molten core, I'll look at them and I'm like, wait, I haven't talked to you at all and I haven't seen you like online. Like where's that coming from, right? Because our guild is practically the entire in-game like population of the server, so like,
which we don't force people either. We've multiple times said anyone can start their own hardcore endgame guild, and EU has 2 actively raiding ones, and both sides have a horde, or like both regions have a horde guild too. People have options to play elsewhere. This is just where the majority of people came.
But just like generally, if a lot of materials came up out of nowhere, it would kind of get noticed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny for him specifically to be accusing people of cheating due to his press.
Well, didn't we say that his name was on the neutral auction house feeding gold from horde or to horde or whatnot?
No, they were someone that he raids with a lot, I believe, in softcore, Doe or Dukes or however you say his name. We had like strict evidence of him cheating and buying bijus and cracking them for Zendikar rep and like trading them over the neutral auction house. And I think the story goes that we didn't have 100% empirical proof of Teeny doing the same thing, but we were like 99% certain that he was, but we couldn't like prove it, right? So we couldn't kick him for cheating. So it's just really funny for like someone who
and we've kicked people for cheating in the past. Like
yeah, it's funny to see someone like who facilitates cheating in his own circle.
Yeah, and he made it sound. I mean, he made it sound like they were.
I mean, it's like people were dying and being able to come back to life just because you guys wanted to continue raiding.
He was saying people were going into BGs and getting like PvP stuff, and like he made all kinds of accusations.
No one had PvP gear.
You can literally see on the logs like what our gear is, and you could probably pull it up on our streams and see when we loot counsel the pieces to those people. It's like
yeah, I don't even know what the point would be to do, like, because you couldn't do the full PvP grind. Like, I mean, you could
if you had the Don Julio's ring, and people are like, well, battlegrounds are normally banned anyways. At least they were in leveling hardcore some time back, because it's considered non-hardcore group activity. Like you're doing doing a raid, even though I'm hardcore. Like the group's not hardcore or whatever. So you couldn't wear that without the scrutiny of every other person saying, "Why the hell do you have a PvP ring, dude? Get the fuck out of the raid." And because a lot of if not all people that were at least in the main raid roster were very prideful of how well that we were doing and how far we've gotten and whatnot without dying. And we even had up to Nax. During every progression raid, we had 0 raiders die for progression. It was always on like re-clears that people would die in raid because they weren't like quite as 100% focused or whatever. So we literally kick people out of the raid and out of the guild the second they die, like no mercy. It's so insane. I was like, man, it's brutal. Like they're like, bye. Out of the raid, out of the guild, your body is dead. So
not even an F in chat.
Not even an F.
Not even F. My buffs are ticking, man. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's go replace some log out. We're getting another warrior. Like, and in that way, that's pretty brutal emotionally. But
I thought maybe it might be worth it to get the PvP trinket for farming for you know, because you said like people notice PvP items on people, so like maybe they would use it for something. I don't see the draw for
you
people
see the
jumping
rank
in
too, right?
Yeah, I just don't see the draw.
And there's almost literally no way to do battlegrounds without dying. You could maybe hide in a cave.
AV.
Maybe AV.
Yeah, AV.
But like even that is like someone's gonna see you because someone else is hiding in there, right? Or like some dude's trying to cap it to do the quest that nobody ever does. So you would see people in the guild even being in battlegrounds. It shows up on your location, right? It just wasn't a thing. Like
it sounded like bullshit to me.
If there's people that are cheating, the only way that to me that could be considered an activity that people did is if they like had a DC death and then they like, I don't know, like we still required like all the evidence of you know, did you actually DC? We need screenshots. They needed to be recording things like that. Is like,
but if they turned off their add-on and they died, like say they were farming randomly somewhere, they turned off their add-on, they died and just rezzed and came right back to life. Would anybody ever know?
I mean, I guess how would you? But
I think that's what Kat said, like at the very start.
With the leveling out on too, right? So it's like
actually, there's the hardcore death log. I guess like it depends if you're running the light version of the add-on or whatever.
If you just turn off the add-on, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I feel like that's why you wanted because if you had that page that showed deaths and all that stuff, you could just straight up be like, look, I haven't died.
Yeah, that's why Soul of Iron and Psalm was actually so good, right?
Yep, I wouldn't even run a dungeon without people. If they like said, oh, I turned it off, I'd be like, dude, turn it on or I'm not running it with you.
No, that's definitely a thing. Or people are very diligent about checking if their thing says fail when they're leveling these days, which is a crazy like culture shock for me because I don't even check if someone's a duo or a solo. Like I had one where it said failed on my 60 because I traded or whatever and ran multiple Nomergons or whatever, so it will automatically say fail. And someone said, "Oh, you failed the challenge," and I was like, "No, I'm."
And like, I'm not going to trust,
200 times. So you can see, you can literally see who has the add-on on that's on in guild. And if it doesn't say what version they're on, but they're online, it'll just have like no add-on detected. You could see if people were, and I looked at that often and there wasn't people that were playing without some form of the add-on. At least like,
I mean, to be honest, it's like at the same time, if you've got 2 to 10 people in the guild that are dying randomly outside of group events and keeping it to themselves, like, I mean, that's the reason hardcore servers I think are going to be really helpful, but it's also, you know, it allows anybody to be able to accuse somebody of that with zero evidence.
No receipts,
and
right? Like
there's no way to prove that you didn't.
It's just something that I don't think was happening with our group of people.
Yeah.
Right?
At least for the majority of them, like, right?
I don't think with even like, I think 99% of the 1,000 people in the guild never cheated or did anything even remotely shady. But of course, if there's 1% of people who pull the plug while they're DCing and then or whatever have a second client, or like I don't know what ways people would, or even dying while farming. Like people didn't go places alone. Like Aura and I did all of our farming together, and like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just a matter of trust, but there wasn't that many people.
And all you can do is
Addon.
like, you can't micromanage everybody to such an extent that you're like always have eyes on them and you know exactly what everybody's done, right? At some point, it has to become a trust thing.
Well,
And
now it's going to be impossible to even create like a rating group without vetting literally every single person. I am now at the point where on official, I will only be doing 5-man dungeons
I feel like there's going to be background checks.
Have you ever been an egregious griefer on another server?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, and what's crazy? Okay, so Calamity came on and talked to Asmund on one of his streams, and she said that one of the big reasons that everybody trusted him was because he brought a lot of knowledge to the group. She said that there was a lot of people like Oradar has said at the start of here that had never played classic vanilla, whether they had like just, come from retail and never played vanilla, or they're brand new players to the game. She said he brought a lot of knowledge, like a lot of different debuffs that should be put on bosses, a lot of different strategies. Oh, you're saying no. Okay.
I don't think any. I would like to say that he does have a very large like knowledge base of the game, right? Obviously, like he's a good player
for 17 years, yeah.
But it's not like there was anything super egregious that we weren't doing before he showed up, and then he showed up, and then like things got better, right? Like,
see, I saw the Stay Safe interview with him first before I saw Calamity talk to Asmund, and when he told Stay Safe that like you guys wouldn't have killed anything without him, Stay Safe was like, oh, so all of their progress is because of you. And I'm just like, Stay Safe is so trolling him. And I was just cracking up. Like, but then Calamity said the same thing. And I was like, oh, well, maybe he did bring a lot of knowledge. So that was why I was like,
he helped
confused.
In terms of like, I would like to say that almost any of like her strategies were Fora or Dell or Swan. And most of what Teeny brought was kind of like affirmation that something could work or that he's seen something similar.
So he was a knowledge base, not really giving you the strategies and stuff.
He wasn't even part of strategy. I can't say that word, but
strategic movement.
He was just there. Strategic planning. To pick apart what he thought that would work or not, or to like basically bully people about not keeping Fairy Fire up or whatever. And those are things like when you are in a high-end parsing guild or in a speedrunning guild that are really important things. But and they are to some extent in hardcore. But we also use Insect Swarm, which is normally a no debuff in every version of Classic WoW that I've ever played. So there's different priorities and whatnot.
I'm kind of a dick like that too, though. If Sunders or Exposed Armor drop off the boss, I say it immediately.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we were saying that before he showed up, right?
Gotcha.
It wasn't. I think there was potentially.
He was just louder and more vocal about it.
He was annoying because he would bully people, and then they would get really upset, and including myself at times, like in the beginning before I really actually talked with him much. My worry about Calamity saying that he brought a lot to it is that she has this dry sense of sarcasm that can't really be translated for people who don't understand.
See, I don't know her at all.
So she might be saying like, "Oh yeah, Tiny was super important," but like, and
it sounded like
Calamity.
It sounded like she was saying, "Well, we trusted him because he brought a lot to the raid. He gave us different." Yeah. You'll have to check that out and let us know. Let us know in the comments or something.
I think he definitely brought a lot to the raid as being a good player. Like, certainly. Like, he was a good tank.
But as good as anyone who's a good player in the raid. Not like anything over.
Yeah, I've known many dicks that are good players.
But I think there's a very high chance that he might be actually clinically like a narcissist or a sociopath. And people who have
sociopath.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
narcissist wouldn't even go that far. Like sociopath, definitely.
they
You
need to
think
absolutely be
narcissist is
important.
worse than a sociopath?
No, I think sociopath is worse. Narcissist, like.
Oh, I thought you said narcissist. I wouldn't go that far.
That's how
Oh,
bad
no.
it is.
I don't, yeah, I said no. I wouldn't say narcissist. I would say, I would go to as far to say as sociopath. Someone who just like gets like pure joy out of just people's. It makes me sick to my stomach
Here's
to
the
even
thing:
think about
is that if he thought that there was horrible things happening in the guild, if he thought that there was people doing things that they shouldn't have been doing, there are much
If they looted a hunter,
better
something that he
ways.
wanted.
There
or
are
he was
much
pissed
easier
about
and
that.
better ways to go about it than to wipe a whole hardcore raid, in my opinion. Right? I think
he could have just quit.
that's
He
what I'm
could've said,
saying.
This is
Like,
bullshit. F you all. I quit.
go on
Good luck
YouTube if
getting
you
anything.
want.
And then do
Join
a raid
Alex
for-
Central.
Fuck you. You're
be-
cool. Fuck you.
Fuck
I'm out.
you, I'm out. Yeah, I love that quote. But
I really did
he's-
enjoy the section on his interview with Stay Safe where he brought up Alex Central, and Stay Safe was like,
Stay Safe's face was like,
yeah.
because like Alex Central went after him forever. Like, and he
Yeah.
had all kinds of problems with him. And he just brings it up and it's like, oh, we get what type of person you are now.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man. Well, okay, so I don't know where else to like. So let's go on to like how this has.
wait, I have to know first.
Okay, go ahead.
Oradar, were you the hunter that got the gear?
Yeah, were you the one that got
that
the
he
gear that he wanted?
No, that was Michelle.
I don't
Darn.
know if he
That's
even
my
wanted
go.
it so much as that
Well,
he
it's
thought
a
it should go to a warrior over a hunter. That's all.
It's a trash parsing trinket in hardcore. I can't give a fuck. Stay mad. Stay mad.
Yeah. I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
That's the only example that I heard him bring up was how Badge of the Stormguard went to a hunter, and like I don't know who he never like specifically in my listening said who he thought it should go to, whether it should be him or not, but it just is a really pathetic reason to be mad for enough reason to like kill everyone's.
Yeah, I'm fine if you're
Like, you can
if
be
you're
mad.
mad. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
stay
I've been
mad.
Well, like,
mad at
plenty of
like
people
loot
get
decisions.
mad.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I got mad.
Dude,
got
I've
mad,
been-
but I didn't kill people.
over the time in my classic guild, I've been mad multiple times about
Oh my
different
god, I was mad every
things.
week.
Yeah, I've
Didn't
been
matter. I was
like,
mad.
but you know what I did? I did the opposite of what lots of people do. I just came to raid, fully consumed, fully world buffed, and did my best regardless, but even still said, I'm mad about this, you know? But like the people
You were
that come in,
mature,
yeah.
wild.
Well, the people you're doing yourself no favors whatsoever. Like if you get mad and then you just try to screw everybody else, you're just losing a bunch of friends and everything else. Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like you're mad at a few people, right? Like, but you're gonna destroy this entire raid because you're mad at a couple people. It's gruesome.
Right. And that's, well, he said it was Judgment Day, but like, no matter what, like, is the truth or not, because we'll never know it all, right? About cheating or not using Addon, whatever. I don't know. It's it. Like,
He's not in a position to be able to make a judgment
I mean,
like that.
I just don't understand what your martyr complex is and how can you be so delusional to be like, I'm the one that needs to do this. But we do know
Because in his head, he thinks the only reason you guys had success was because of him.
Yeah, but I think there was a lot of money involved as well, because there's been multiple people who've reached out across multiple streamers and said 5K to wipe the raid or 2K to do this. I even had someone try to kill me for $100 PayPal dono in Mara the other day, and I'm like literally a nobody in my opinion compared to some of the bigger.
You are not a nobody.
But I mean, you know, like if you're gonna put a hit on,
You get Blizzard interviews. You are
okay.
not a nobody. You shut up about that.
But I'm just saying, like
This is like, you shouldn't put a hit on me though. I'm not big enough for a hit.
Well, I mean, if the person whoever's getting paid,
I just can't
wants to
imagine
split it with
anybody
me,
not
can get
liking
me
you.
killed.
Like,
Oh, there's plenty of people that
I just
like
don't,
me,
but
though.
I don't get it. Like, I do get,
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to name names, but I do get certain people why people are rubbed the wrong way. I just can't understand why anybody wouldn't like you, though. I just do not get it.
Agreed.
Like, I even get why people don't like me, but like, I don't get why anybody wouldn't like you.
I think, well, not even on that note, it's no one's place to make a judgment call like that. And when there's that much money potentially involved, and even if there's not, like, this bodes really poorly, especially with an empty silence from Blizzard. Like, we don't know. Like, I reached out to some people in places you and I are both in, Bob, and sent information regarding it. But the radio silence is not boding well for Official, because if it's a constant meta for people to try to get everyone killed, because this is the new easiest way to grief people, it's going to die really fast. There's only going to be
the easiest way to get views.
Well, okay. Is it though? Like, okay, yes, rating will die really fast, but like, I feel like you are in like the top
1%,
5% of
But people are going to grief their dead minds. They're going to...
Yes, they are going to do that. That is going to happen a lot. That is going to happen a lot.
That's going to be a meta. Someone in chat will go, I'll gift you 1 sub if you get your Dead Minds group wiped. And it's like, even on small scales like that, people are going to end up going back to Bloodsail and playing solo self-found and not wanting to play hardcore. So hearing anything from Blizz would really...
Yeah, that is tough.
Other big content creators have come forward and said, we think that this is an obvious grief. It's really like ridiculous for them to have to feel forced or peer pressured to delete their characters because somebody wanted to ruin their day and their progress. So we say that they should continue, and Blizzard say nothing. So
I mean,
what do you think?
I feel like,
here's the thing. Here's my question though. What do you think in a perfect world, like, how do you think Blizzard could effectively monitor this on hardcore servers? Right? Like,
I mean, nobody knows until it happens. There's really no correct answer to it. Like he could get banned, but so what? It doesn't accomplish anything.
And he'll just make
getting him banned from Twitch would be a big incentive, because they would revoke the sub money that he earned and whatnot. But you don't know what goes through private transactions and whatnot. There's not much to be done. The only thing they could say is that they found the actions deplorable. They will be making sure to permanently ban anyone, even at a lowest offense of actively griefing on official servers, and that they are going to be diligent. But, you don't know it till it happens, basically.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
There's much to do about nothing,
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like, everybody knows that this guy had a lot of game knowledge and was very, knew what he was doing and all of that, right? But in Dead Minds, somebody who does a similar thing to wipe the raid and acts very innocent, even if they are streaming, there's just going to be a lot of stupid people who haven't played the game. And when you're in Dead Minds, you don't really know what the quality of people are, right? So that's going to be even hard to prove. And I think the only thing that makes it beneficial, I guess, is having hardcore servers is that they die too, right? Like there's no
Teeny died though.
Life opportunity. Yeah. And he martyred himself though. And I think in his mind, right, that's what he thinks. He martyred himself.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm sure he didn't give a crap about the character, actually. Like,
well,
I don't think he had the pride that we did.
Yeah, and he conveniently waited until the hardcore servers were coming out anyways, right? But honestly, like, who do you think is going to run a raid with him in hardcore unofficial servers?
No one will in hardcore, I don't think. Maybe the people that he already raids with, but I don't know. Like, it's just the example that was set. That is the scary part for the future. So
yeah, I agree.
You have to think about, like, so it's got to be a certain type of person that would be able to work up a 60 hardcore and be willing to wipe. But like, we're talking about Dead Minds and even wiping somebody on Moradon in your like late 30s, early 40s.
50s, really?
Yeah, it's only going to be people, like, it's going to be a certain subset of people that are able to do that, like, that are, that have enough time to go ahead and work up another one to get their fix, and they're going to want to do it on a big scale, right? So I don't know that it's going to really screw over like just the leveling population all that much.
I mean,
I could be wrong.
It's very possible that people will be incredibly leary of group content.
Definitely. I mean, there's lots of people that do hardcore that refuse to do dungeons.
Right. That was my first solo character. Never did a single dungeon. I don't know how I got to 60 because that's awful. But the thing is that one of the positive, in my opinion, changes that hardcore official servers brought is not waiting to kill the named mob or do the escort quest because 5 people are in line ahead of you, or you could just group up and do it together.
Or you can steal that tag.
But with a one mob situation, like somebody could just sit there and kill it over and over and over versus like grouping up. But
I feel like in hardcore,
scared to do escorts because you could literally just run in and aggro everything and bring it on your team and then vanish if you're a rogue or whatever.
Right.
Fucking rogues, man.
Fucking rogues.
It all comes back to the rogues. I'm just going to point that out. It's nobody group with rogues is basically where we're at.
I mean, they could make those quests a lot easier, and just the fact that if you get one piece of damage on it, you get the tag with everybody else. And I don't know that would really piss off everybody because it's hilarious. I did a duo with Classic Go, and I was joking with him. I was like, dude, we went to the bear in Dark Shore.
Oh, yeah.
And there was like 5 people waiting in line. And I was like, dude, you should just steal the tag. And I was joking with him. And it popped it. And he was like, all right, got it. I was like, oh my God, dude. Oh my God, let's kill it and get out of here fast before anybody recognizes me. Like, this is horrible. Oh my God.
I told Bob, I was like,
I don't
listen, I told Bob, I said, what you should have done. No, I said, what you should have done is you should have like gone in and helped kill and then like gotten back in line. Like you weren't the one that did it, right?
Yeah, just
and
stood there.
Like, waited.
But like, man, that asshole, I can't believe he took the tag.
I'm not waiting in line for this guy. Like,
right?
Like, I'm out.
Yeah, no seasoned hardcore person is gonna wait in line. They're either gonna be a dick, steal the tag, or it's just gonna be like, okay, we're just gonna move on. We're not gonna do this quest. It's no big deal.
Come back later.
Well, okay, so how has this affected the guild? So just to let everybody know how this works, the hardcore official Discord, like the hardcore whatever, like not hardcore elite, where you appeal deaths going from 1 to 60, they have nothing to do with after you get to level 60. It was decided a long time ago the guilds would do that on their own. So Calamity's come out and said anybody who wants to res can, because this was an obvious grief, and he has admitted that it was a grief. So it is definitely an obvious grief. However, Cat here has decided not to res. I don't know what Oradar has decided to do, but let us know how it's affected the guild and what people are choosing.
I think it's kind of like half and half. There are some people like Cat who decided that, their character died, and that's that. And there's a lot of people, like I'm personally resurrecting just because,
I feel like I respect both decisions, if I'm being honest.
I'm not going to rag on anyone for choosing one way or the other. Like, I definitely get people that are like, you know what, I died, I'm done. And then I also get people that are, I'm kind of in the boat where it's like, I kind of just want to keep playing. Like, I don't feel like I didn't lose to my ineptitude or the raid's ineptitude. I lost to someone being a dick, right?
A fifth horseman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you couldn't plan for. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of controversy around it, and I feel like it's more controversy than there should be around it, right? Because
I've never seen so many people that like don't they're in no way affected by other people's actions, like care that much. It's actually so
Oh
frustrating.
yeah.
They do.
Well, and they can say what the thing is that anyone on Reddit can make a rumor and say it with any sort of authority, and people are just ready to believe whatever villainizes this guild that it was a community guild. Like, it's literally, Cargos himself called it a public library. Anyone that hits 60 can join. There is no gatekeeping, nothing. So,
Right.
like, this was literally just a public entity. It was, we didn't get to be choosy about who was in or whatever, other than if they were egregious after the fact, or if they did something awful on the way up or something like that. So,
Right.
So, Kat, why are you deciding not to res when this is an obvious grief? It sounds like you've never resed, even if you've been griefed. Like,
yeah,
you've never taken an appeal.
I've never had an appeal death. I've had my duo partners appeal, which kills the duo or whatever. But I personally have never appealed a character. I have been really lucky. I have had DCs and lived. Like, I DC'd on the pirate boat in STV as a druid, and
Oh my
jumped
God,
off
that's the worst.
I jumped off and went right into seal form and zoom.
Holy
Less
shit!
alchemy because I had a swim speed potion as well.
There you
I was
go.
fast AF. But there's a second edge to this, and it's that choosing to res is the correct choice to me. But I don't have the emotional fortitude to deal with the amount of trolling and backlash that doing such can cause on Reddit in my own personal stream, which is my job. I have a really positive stream. I have really nice, awesome hardcore people, or people who don't even play hardcore and just enjoy, good music and whatever. And I don't want our bar, our safe place, to be ruined by people who don't deserve a chance. And I don't want to invite that into my space, because I do this 6 days a week. I'm really passionate about my job. And I don't think that it wouldn't not affect me. I'm not strong enough to say that trolls will never affect me. So yeah, I want everyone to res and kill them. I don't care who says it's not legitimate or that, like, whatever, it's hardcore with an asterisk or whatever. I personally, it's just more, it's not, I don't know. It just feels really bad.
That's
it had an amazing achievement stripped away from me. And now if I were to make that achievement, it would feel like people would just completely diminish it.
Discount it.
So,
yeah.
Yep.
I feel like that would still just be the like vocal minority, but you would, I guess, like, I didn't even think about this. I thought you were just doing, like, I would just delete, like, because I did it in Psalm only, so I had the buff, right? And, like, if I didn't have the buff, I didn't feel like I was hardcore, right? So that's the only time I did it. I did 2 level 60s. I died a bunch on the way, but, like, I always said to my chat, if I die to a grief or to a DC, then I am going to just I'm not going to do an appeal ever. Right. And so I made that. So I thought you just made that rule for yourself, like, early on. And so you're sticking to it. But you make a lot of sense. You would get ostracized.
Absolutely. It's both, right? Like, I have pride in the fact that how far I got, knowing, for even if it's only me, right, that knows I never died. Like I said in the really beginning, like, I used to die every molten core multiple times for every and
butt pull.
Even though I died to something that was obviously a grief, my character did die. And so for me, the integrity of the hardcore challenge is death equals delete. I've watched so many of our raiders, like Ellen Degenerate and, like, other people, like, literally go type delete character, goodbye, like, all the best gear, everything like that. And I don't want to, take the integrity away of that, even though I know that the right thing to do is to step up and res.
Because you do empower the griefers by...
Correct.
Yeah, it's such a double-edged shitty sword.
It is. It's no matter which way I chose as a L, the worst part about it is people going, I'm proud of you for deleting, and me thinking to myself, I don't fucking care that you're proud of me. I don't need your opinion, whether you're like, I need my dad to tell me he's proud of me. That's it.
Right?
You know, that's it. No one else. So
you're like, thank you, but also like, I feel like you're very conflicted about it, right? Like you didn't do it for your own personal reasons, right? But you also felt like in some way that you should have done it. So people saying they're proud of you.
My guild. I had Biscuit. I was the only raiding feral left, basically. I know that I'm good at my job. I was parsing against other ferals who died multiple times, and I have world rank 2 Onyxia and Molten Core. Like there's so much to be proud of about that, you know what I mean? But it's
definitely
no matter which way you choose, you lose a little. So for me, that choice came with protecting my emotional space and my positive vibe place.
Mm-hmm.
That was
your longevity in what you're doing, right? Like you have to look at the future too and be like, listen, if I can't get through this, then how am I going to help them, you know, in the future?
I mean, do you have another 60 that you can get in? You know,
I have a 54 warrior. I hate warriors, but if I get her to 60, I'll at least try to get in and like get some gear, I guess. I do have a hunter that's a bank alt. She's 60, but I don't want to play a hunter. The only thing like that now that.
How do you feel about that Oradar that she doesn't want to play a hunter?
Oh, I don't wish anyone to play hunter.
Well, he also has a druid and refuses. He's like, I hate cat, and I was like, you hate me? And he's like, no, I don't hate me. Girls. So it's kind of funny how we're opposites that way. But unofficial, I'll just sorry for the boring content in advanced chat, but like I'm gonna be leveling 2, 3, 60. So if one dies, I have one ready to go to keep playing because I don't want to play anything else.
I feel like your chat will appreciate that because you'll have more like raiding. Like is probably like where like you probably have a different crowd for raiding. You probably have a crowd that really wants to talk to you while you're leveling. Like that's when they get to like interact with you. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like my chat doesn't even talk during raids now because they know I'm not going to talk back to them.
Sure, I know. I come in all the time when you're raiding and I'm like, lurk, because I know I'm giving you the view and you're just vibing. So
yeah, but they know like I'm gonna see it later because I've gotten in trouble with my guild like paying too much attention to chat. Screwing over the guild, and then there's a record of that, like of me not listening to the call that I was given, and I was talking to chat, right? So
Bob has the canny way of they'll say something, and then like a minute later, Bob would be like, "Hey, but what about this?" I'd be like, "Yeah, we just."
And that's when I'm not talking to chat. That's when I'm not talking to chat. So talking to chat is even worse.
Yeah, I have ADHD, so like
I'm in my own head. Same. Yeah, I have ADHD.
I responded, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I never said anything. I should probably say something or like ask because I was in another dimension.
So. Oh yes. Well, Bob also really struggles with his push to mute.
This is not about me. This is not about me.
But it needs to be, right? Because sometimes like he'll say something to chat while he's streaming in our raid. And it'll sound like something that he could say in the moment that we're at in the raid, and everybody's just kind of like confused because it doesn't actually fit.
And they're like, Bob, are you going to finish? I was like, oh, sorry, I was talking to chat.
Yeah, it happens at least once a month.
Okay, once a month is fine. We raid a lot.
We raid 4 times a month. That is a third of the time. But yeah, it's fine. Keep going.
All right. Well, okay, so... All right, so what is about the breakdown? Because like there's some people coming in. You said it's about half and half, but like, what are the plans? Like, is Hardcore Elite looking to raid like in the coming weeks? Like,
I mean, there's like a second team that's been clearing. They've been kind of doing their own progression, right? And they just killed Nefarian. I believe that was 2 days ago.
Or no, 2.
Okay.
Like there's 1,000 people in the guild. There's plenty of people that are there to step up.
Cool. Okay, so it's going to keep going.
Yeah, like we're going to keep raiding and like we're obviously not going to step right back into Nax, but we're going to like clear through AQ again and then kind of start vetting more people and then go back into next. Our goal is to still kill KT before official comes out. Whether or
We
not
just
that
kind
happens,
of have to
we'll
lick our
see.
wounds a little, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
So this is something I kind of want to like kind of make fun of just because it makes me laugh. But if you guys don't want to pick a fight, like I understand, but I don't think he cares about us small timers. But Asmongold's, I don't know if you've watched his 2 different videos on it, but he's so sure that this kills hardcore, and he is. I don't understand why he hates hardcore so much, but he's hated it from the start. I don't know if it's because he can't do it or what, but like he hates it. And I was just curious if you guys had any thoughts on that.
I haven't seen the videos personally, just because.
But I mean, have you seen any of his? Like he's done hardcore ones for out the past 2 years, hating on it
for
constantly.
Sure. It's not for everyone, for sure. I definitely could see, like, I'm someone who I didn't even play that much during Classic. Like, I can firmly say I've spent more time playing the hardcore version of the game than I have softcore. I've progressed further in the game in hardcore than I have on softcore, so it's like kind of how I see the game. I could definitely see someone that's been playing since original vanilla just see hardcore and not enjoy it, right? I'll never.
Well, he's one of those people that really piss me off because they do the whole thing with like, oh, it's easy. You just have to play like a cupcake. And I'm like, dude, playing like a cupcake, you still die, bro. Play it before you talk smack on it.
I mean, he's right. It's not hard. It's not hard inherently. It's like, it's human nature that makes it hard, right?
Yeah. Which we all are humans, though, right? Like, we all want to put ourselves in those situations where we might die.
We all bite off more than we can chew. We all think, like, oh, I can do this. But he just hates it so much, and I just don't get it.
Transform into bear form when needed and then die, you know?
I think that someone in our chat just said it, but when you're some monolith of a pinnacle of a Twitch and WoW community, right? Like when you think of World of Warcraft, there's a couple people who come to mind. There's a very large chance that any wholesome experience that he might ever have again with WoW can never be the same, because if he names himself Asmon anything, people will instantly recognize him, and
or if he just streams in general.
Well, they said that he even tried it offline, but you know, I doubt that he used the name Bro George 1 or whatever. Like like people will grief you or follow you around or spam buffs or whisper you, or like, how do you have like a original like positive experience with something like that? So I don't know why he hates hardcore. I can't admit, like, to me, again, the Doomer meta is really cringe. Like, stop. It's 2023. We need to like help lift each other up, and you don't have to partake in anything you don't enjoy. That's like the great thing about, like, you don't like this guild, go to a different one. You don't want to play hardcore, nobody's making you. You literally can just press log out. Like, it's that simple. Like, but people
why are you hating on people's fun? They want to make other people miserable.
And it's just because they're miserable. So I don't know. I don't get what his issue is. No one's he feels responsible for everything WoW news related or whatever news related. And then Mad Season made a really interesting show, and I do love his content as well, about how the React meta is just really awful. Like, people will be reacting to this podcast of you tomorrow of us talking, and that will be their whole content, is just remarking on what we talked about today, and that's so
and we can't
I literally tried to show Mel that Mad Season video last night. Like, we watched it, like, I think she got a piece of it. We watched it to go to bed. I was just like, it is kind of interesting, but it's just like,
it's hard to escape.
What sucks is that I like most of Asmongold's content, though. Like, that sucks. Like, it makes me mad because, like, I like watching his React stuff, but I literally won't let myself watch it. I'm just like I'm going to the creator first, and I'm gonna watch I'm gonna watch it there first. But like, That's what's funny to me because I really like a lot of Asmon's takes. Like I really do. Like I think he's actually a pretty intelligent dude that like memes a whole lot. But
Sure.
I don't get why he hates
But regardless,
hardcore. That's
okay,
that's
but
where I'm
regardless
at.
regardless of his hardcore hate or, you know, not buying into hardcore, I do feel like in general the hardcore community has seen a big uptick in people coming in and trying it that are people that, you know, are maybe retail people or people who are big streamers that have done different things, right?
Like Mr. Dreamy Zaru.
Right.
Sorry.
Like I just feel like there
He's
have
hot.
been a lot of people that have actually
You know it's
like
true.
Not my type.
Oh, really? Too pretty?
Cat likes goblins.
I do that. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
did you-
continue.
Fair,
you
fair.
guys seen like the uptick in like I
Yeah.
feel like the amount of attention that hardcore has gotten, and I think a lot
Of
of
course,
that
brings haters.
yeah, it does. It brings those haters, and like, come on, if you've ever seen an Asmongold stream, which I rarely watch, but if you've ever seen it, it's like the haters in chat are 100 times more like out there than the people who appreciate the content, right? Like, and I think it just brings in that type of environment,
Absolutely.
which is fine. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I think that is a fear for a lot of like content creators who are passionate about something, is like you want success, but then you also have to deal with a lot of negativity. And I think Cargos himself said something to me that really sticks in my mind. And he's like, content creators that put everything into what they do and their whole vulnerable selves out there have a really limited timeline in the industry because they get eaten alive. And I feel that like some days I like end stream in tears and it's just brutal. It doesn't even have to be trolls or anything. There's just some days are just hard on you emotionally or whatever. And
That's the way I feel every time I edit this podcast and have to listen to myself talk.
Oh, come on.
I'm not kidding. Like, it's just like.
How many people, you know what's crazy? I want to just kind of throw you a funny little quip here. After the first time I was on, I had about 50 individual people say, "Hey, are you the Aper Kit Kat that was on Blazing Bob's Warcraft Reloaded? I listen to that every week."
It is
Wow, you're, like,
Melorita's
famous.
Warcraft Reloaded.
oh,
But it was like, it was so crazy the amount of people who watch and or like listen and or watch your VODs or your streams and whatnot. I love that.
It is.
So-
It is crazy because like we are not big on YouTube. We've been getting some like it's been pretty good the past couple months, but what people don't realize is we are
Comparatively to-
huge on audio. I mean, like
Yeah.
we are probably like I'm pretty sure Josh Corbett's Countdown to Classic, if he released weekly, he would beat us because he's just better. He's just really
Do you
good.
have like any idea
But,
of,
like,
how
literally-
many listens you like
Oh,
have,
yeah.
like weekly, monthly?
Yeah,
I mean,
and we are
any-
we're generally in the top 200 audio podcasts on Spotify and iTunes, and like during big parts, like when
Gaming
Wrath came
podcasts.
out, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we were top 100 in both, and it's just
Wow.
like
That's really cool.
yeah, it's crazy because so many people look at like I literally would try to get guests on sometimes, and I'd have to show them my chartable.com to show them that like we are like one of the biggest podcasts in gaming nationwide and across the world, and because like they instantly go to YouTube and be like, oh, but YouTube really isn't a place for podcasts. Like if I was good, I would do clips. But like, yeah,
Sure.
Anybody listening, if you want to do clips for me, I will
Oh my
split
God.
the I will split it with you. If you want to
The
edit
need
clips,
for editors is crazy. I don't have an editor currently.
I
I've been
will
making all
split
my
it
own.
with you half and half. I have a clips channel. I'd love to do clips. Let me know. But okay, so like, yeah, so like it's crazy because we are like huge, and it's weird because like we're not huge on YouTube where the majority of creators are, or Twitch, right? So
it almost hurts us a little bit, right, with the YouTube audience.
Yeah, no,
like-
I understand. I don't have anything on YouTube either. All my success is Twitch. I wouldn't have anything if I didn't have Twitch as a platform. So I understand.
yeah, and see,
completely.
and all of ours is
Audio.
Google Podcast, Spotify, and iTunes. And like, you know, and it's huge. Like, I mean, I go and do dungeons, and today there was this guy that was like, "Wait, you're Bob? Wait, are you the real Bob?" And I'm like, "I'm a Bob." And then they're like, from Warcraft Reloaded, the podcast guy. I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And then someone else in the group was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool." And then they were so nice. They were like, "Dude, you just made our day. This has been great. Thank you so much." I'm upset because I wanted to give him a shout out and I cannot remember he even switched off of his lock to his tank so he could take my rogue. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, dude. I added you on BNet though, so week. We're gonna hang out again. So okay, sorry about that, but yeah, okay. This is not about me. This is about you. Like, what the heck? You just got me on a tangent.
I'm sorry. I just that was a tangent. I do want to just really quickly blanket statement the fact that again, all of these opinions are mine. I don't represent Hardcore Lead in any more facility than Oradar does, or even in a way like how Calamity does. Like, yes, she's the guild leader and whatnot. But I am an officer, and I do have my own opinions about things. It doesn't necessarily like even represent Hardcore as a whole, even as a Discord moderator and whatnot. But I do care about the future of Hardcore as much as I care about the people who have made Hardcore, in terms of like the people who will be playing on official, who will be spending 18, 19 hours a day in dungeons and getting prebis to race to world first Nax, KT, official, because there is no phases and stuff, as much as I care about the community, the people, and the future of all of that combined. And it's a really tough place to be in. It does make me a very emotional person, and it's because it's coming from a place of caring really a lot. So if I said anything that is on the podcast gets you guys any flack, like, please don't take anything towards Bob or Mel.
Hey, I mean,
it is my opinions. It is my opinions.
Yeah, and I have mine too, and I have my own opinions on Petri Flask and if it should be in Hardcore official. But I kept that out of here because, like, this isn't about that. It's about it's about you guys. This episode is about you guys. And so, like, yeah. We all have opinions, guys. It's okay to not have the same one. Just say it. It's okay. And you can still be friends
just say,
too.
Agree to disagree. Absolutely. I mean, I have friends with people who don't share the same religion as me, and that's like a gigantic thing, right? So
yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm married to somebody who plays a rogue, so obviously we agree to disagree.
Never in my life, right? So.
Yeah, I would not wish that upon
Night Elf
anybody.
Shadow Priest. Like, I honestly can't believe she's my duo partner.
I do. I think they look so cool on their purple cat mount.
Dude, I love the Shadow Priest look, and Bob hates it. He thinks it's so horrible.
Yeah, it's there's everything one color. I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't know. I think it's cool, but I'm a holy priest, so.
Well, it's pretty cool that you guys are gonna keep it going, and you guys are gonna we're gonna get to see some other hardcore stuff. I had no idea that there were multiple groups too. Like, you guys had people waiting in the wings. Like, this might be kind of neat. Like, you might have be getting
Phoenix, right?
some new blood in there and get to make new friends. And
I really hope they're able to fill a roster without me as a warrior. Like, as much as I will be so salty
you keep
and
saying
sad.
this because I think you're afraid that you're gonna like playing warrior.
No, I'm afraid I'm gonna be good, and they won't let me play
dude.
feral. They'll be like, "You're good at warrior."
Well, you're gonna be good at warrior if you play.
I know
that will be a thing. Yeah, switching to a warrior in vanilla is easy.
I don't half-ass. I full-ass one thing, right? So.
Yeah, that's why I had to quit my pally, because I was like, I don't have enough time to be really good at my pally too. So back to the priest. So, well, I feel like they're not going to be able to do it without your warrior. Just so you know.
There's plenty. We have lots of
the vibe I'm getting.
Well, yeah, I mean, chat was trying to kill you right before you came on here.
Actually, true. Correct. Yeah. For $100
it was
dollars.
I mean, it was Oradar who was trying to kill you a little bit there.
I
Oh,
feel
Would have been
like
fine.
Apricot, I feel like you should just be more offended that the price is not higher. I would be
well,
like,
I said if someone wants to like make it 5K and then split it with me, like I'll be dramatic. I'll cry and everything.
I'll act it
like,
out.
Cry
Yeah,
on the
let's
street.
go. You know, I'll kill my
I'll make
character
this
for
the
5K.
best
Let's
Twitch
go.
stream ever.
Hey, for
Right?
half of 5K, I'll cry on stream. I can do it.
I can do it for free.
Yeah,
I've
right?
done it before. So
I don't know that you need to pay me 5K for that, but if you want to, all for it.
all right.
Isn't that the worst though? When someone sends you like a weird, I should get on this tangent because I do have to raid here in a half an hour.
Right.
But when someone sends you something upsetting on stream and like you read it and you start to like react and you're like, oh God, okay, I can't gotta go to the bathroom, guys. Like I've had that happen a few times. It's like, oh. But yeah, that's total side
I think
tangent.
the more success you find, the more negative voices, because
Of course.
I mean, that's how you know you've made it. That's what
I used to ban
that's
every
what
person
Ragtag
who,
said to us.
yeah. I used to ban every person who would start with like an immediately negative comment, but hate viewers are viewers too, and the more people like, you know, even like in this specific situation, I don't want to say his name, but people were curious, so they still click, and you know what, that's one more penny of ad revenue. So a lot of times I've won people over too. They're like, I wanted to hate you, but like actually I don't know how could I, unless they're like absolutely babies.
I was the same way when I first started. I would just ban, like I would just be like, you're trying to get a rise out of me, and then like I've like had so many times where I was like, I'm not gonna ban them, and then I love the whole, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah,
like, I love that line, and like people,
that's cool.
You do win them over, and then they're in your chat, and they're being good people in your chat. It's just like, it's so funny.
You guys just have to. I feel like I studied human behavior, right? And I think the insight I get into this in the Twitch streaming atmosphere is more so like, you just have to understand what the function of their behavior is. If they're coming in and trolling and their function is to get a rise out of you or the attention from you or the attention from other people in your community, as long as they don't get that, they will either stop coming in or they will stop trolling, right? Like, they can only go so long without getting what they want.
An entire podcast about this mentality of how you either feed into it and then they're getting what they want, or you can absolutely turn it around, or like just almost even like mock them out of their own.
But even mocking them like gives them attention still, right?
Yeah,
like
negative attention is still attention. So
yeah, like I would legit just absolutely ignore every comment that they make and just act like it doesn't even exist. And then you might lose a viewer, right? But you're not going to take that mental hit of them continuing to like push back on you and get you. Like, you're going to get their initial view and like, cool, you can do whatever you want in chat, but you're not going to get a rise out of me. And like, or make neutral statements, right? Like, and again, I do this for a living with children and adults, and I probably could go on this forever, but I feel like just understanding what their intention is, and if you provide them the reinforcement that they're looking for, they're going to continue to do it.
That's why I was really disappointed in the hundreds of people who enforced the behavior that we saw this week. Even the people who hate him constantly talking and sharing clips and whatnot. Like, it's all you're doing is just like, again, negative attention is still attention, and there's reasons why people seek negative attention, and it's because they are not getting the positive attention from the places that they crave. So
yeah, attention is attention.
And
it's
I know
sad. It's sad. It's pathetic.
Sorry.
No, that's it. Like, my only feelings are about his actions is it was pathetic.
Well,
that's
and
all.
We've been talking about him here, but I've felt the need not to say his name. Like, I've felt the need that, like, we don't need to say his name. I just call him Griefer, you know, like, so, yeah.
No one will ever be as legendary as Leroy Jenkins. So
I know, right?
Leroy Jenkins.
To be honest, the first time I saw it, I was like,
He got chicken.
this guy could have probably made a lot more money if he would have done something like a Leroy Jenkins, like just made like a big scene out of it, like yelled something crazy.
Yeah, pretending like it was like,
an accident.
I mean, I guess like if he wasn't quiet about it, everybody would have like maybe gotten out, right?
Well, there's
like they would have they would have petried out of the.
No, you can't petri out of Horsemen.
But out of
you could have petried the beam, but you're still gonna die to the marks.
That killed half the raid, right? Or over half the raid.
You're still gonna die to the marks
in a minute. You think so? I'm not sure.
You just even the 60-second drop out of raid, like you just get too much pulsing because all the horsemen without tanks like all kind of combine, right?
Yeah,
so
like there's no safe
hundreds
spot.
and hundreds and then thousands and thousands of damage.
Like the people that got out were because there weren't marks on the side where they were getting out.
Yeah, there's no horses over there.
Yeah, and there's no rocket boots, right, in vanilla, so you couldn't have rocket booted to another corner before petri.
There are, but you can't equip them in combat.
But also, like nobody was.
They're like actual boots you put on. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Not a boot in Chant, whereas everybody has them in Wrath.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
You know what?
Oradar, you have anything else to say?
Yeah, it was definitely entertaining.
No,
it was, but it made me sick to my stomach. Like, have you ever seen the show Nip Tuck? Like, watch Nip Tuck, and that's how this made me feel.
Yeah,
Actually,
I don't feel like it was
Nip Tuck.
entertaining at all. I feel like it was just sad and silly and kind of. It's like I would have rather them.
It was sad and silly, but I'm not gonna lie, it was entertaining. Like it's dominated YouTube and everything else. I mean, we can't sugarcoat it.
I think the fact that he did it intentionally, and then he's, going on and talking to people, and other people are talking to people, and even us here, right? We're talking about it, which is fine. But I feel like it's a lot of attention being brought to this situation.
To a pathetic human being. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way getting around that.
That is
right?
the attention.
Like,
but people love drama. That's what it comes down to. And every hater for hardcore or every hater for hardcore elite specifically was clapping in a corner. And we knew we had haters. We knew that they just couldn't handle that we were doing something they weren't. But it was just such a like a stupid way. I mean, I fully expected to just die on KT and wipe, right? Like I would have personally, this is what I would have loved if Dell or Forrest said, all right, everyone, we're on KT, delete your Petri flasks. We are fighting, we're wiping here on KT or we're winning. And I would have been like, let's fucking go.
Hell
right?
yeah. That would have been hype
been
right
awesome.
there.
And then if there
that would
was
have
a
been
huge
hype.
wipe, if there was a huge wipe or someone griefed on purpose, then we, you know what, we
go out together.
What's sad though is 4 Horsemen's harder than KT.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think after we killed Resuvius, I was kind of convinced that we had beat the game. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and we actually had such an epic moment stolen from a really good player from that because we had the world first ever, as far as we're aware, rogue tank Resuvius 100 to 0. So,
all right,
with no deaths. Yeah, I've never had that strategy before. We completely negated the priest RNG, which is
that's crazy.
As you know, super annoying because you play a priest. So,
Oh yeah, she's definitely done a lot of that.
Yep,
I am aware. That was the worst boss throughout.
I had to do it as a druid in 10 mans because I knew how to do it. Right, since they just have the orb and you do it yourself.
Yeah.
It was
like always the most stressful thing ever.
I know you have to go, and I also have to go.
You didn't. You didn't eat.
Don't dox
Cat
me.
never eats.
I do.
Cat eat challenge impossible.
No, she had a half of BLT earlier for lunch, and then she had popcorn, and she plans to eat after the podcast. I'm a lurker. I'm sorry.
10 p.m. I don't know about that, but I just want to take the opportunity to say it was awesome. I love being on this podcast. It's so entertaining. You guys are fantastic hosts. I know I talk a lot, and I apologize for that.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what we want for a podcast. You were amazing.
I love
really
being
fun.
here. Yeah.
I'm sorry I was a bit quiet, but I don't play Wrath or
lot.
anything, right? So I don't have anything to add to that, right?
Definitely.
If you guys need any like feedback or like not feedback, but like help with stuff about this specifically, please reach out. I'm always like a DM away for friends.
Oh, we definitely will. Yeah. All right. Well, let me go ahead and just close us out here. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. Actually, I shouldn't do this, but I want to just because this is a hardcore episode and I've been hanging on to it forever. I'm going to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our add-on of the week.
All right, guys, we haven't done an add-on of the week for a little bit, but I wanted to tell you guys about what's trading. It is huge. I mean, it's good for all, like, you know, Wrath, TBC, whatever, but it's amazing for hardcore. What's trading is a add-on that basically just allows you to see the trader at any place you are. Instead of having to go to Wowhead, Google your spells, see like if you need to go back to train at this level, like is it worth it to like actually walk, get on a flight path and go trade, or should you just wait for another 2 levels? Well, what's trading basically just puts it right in your skills page. It's another icon. You click on it and you can just see what you can trade at each level, what you haven't traded. It's amazing. Have you guys used this add-on?
Yeah, I'm religious to it in hardcore.
Yeah, I've had it for as long as I can remember, actually.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to, we haven't done an add-on of the week forever, so I wanted to like get this one out here because it's the perfect
hear
hardcore.
Something funny, actually?
I do.
You probably don't remember. So the first time I was on here, I actually told you guys about that add-on.
Okay, I think you did, and I think I downloaded it, and Bobby didn't download it for like another like 6 weeks after I downloaded
it.
it.
Notes and I was cracking up to myself.
Holy shit!
But that was so long ago.
It was.
And you guys taught me about Spell Rank, which is like my favorite Wrath add-on. So but I didn't know you could just auto update all your spell ranks. I had no idea. Like that's an awesome add-on.
That is so cool. That is hilarious because I knew someone.
That's so great because I was actually thinking. I was like, I feel like we talked about this at a podcast way earlier,
but it wasn't on an actual add-on of the week. Okay, that's so cool. That's so cool. It's so cool.
Well, here we go. The original source.
Yeah,
here for you guys.
The OG. Holy crap! All right. Well. All right. Yep. If you want to email us, it's wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Discord, it's discord.me/Warcraft Reloaded. You can go and you can join the MASH Discord, mash.gg/Discord. Also, if you want to help us out in any way, iTunes reviews, stars on Spotify, comments, likes on the YouTube help. If you go to warcraftreloaded.com, you can find the Patreon, all the links to the different things we have there. Yeah, and that's the best way to help us.
You can come see us at BlizzCon.
Oh, yeah. We're going to BlizzCon. Kat, are you going?
This year's not really. It would be like a round trip of like 5K, and I just can't foot it this year. So let someone magically dump a whole bunch of money. I live in Wisconsin.
Cat's gonna res. Yeah. Cat's gonna res all of a sudden and join the raid group. So you should be very skeptical of this order.
Send 5K for BlizzCon. I'll wipe the raid on KT.
Let's just start a GoFundMe for it because it's.
I'm gonna go.
It's a really good time. It's a really good time.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna go
super
for
excited.
next year for sure, and I hope to go to TwitchCon too. I've never been to one, and I've been partnered for over a year, so like it's about time. I need to go see what it's about.
We were there last year.
TwitchCon
Yeah.
is only as cool as the people you're there with. Like the
That's
con
fair.
itself.
Look like you guys were having
Oh,
fun.
we had a
'cause
blast.
I watched so
But
many of you, and Craig's
most-
been all
Craig's-
annoying.
Yeah,
Craig's,
most of the
like,
time we
live
weren't
stream.
at the con. Like most of the time we were like
Yeah.
out doing other stuff with all of the friends. Like
That was the best
whereas
part about this con
BlizzCon
was
is
everybody
like,
around.
yeah, the con is really cool at BlizzCon. So you know, and Twitch, you know, and everybody's Blizzard, so there's so many more people that like
Yeah.
love what you love. Whereas TwitchCon, like you
All
know,
over the place.
yeah, like
Sure.
it like you know, someone like Sarth would be like constantly stopped at BlizzCon and told how much they love his stuff. Whereas at
Right.
TwitchCon, it was like 3 people, right? You know,
Yeah.
so like it's a totally different atmosphere for that type of stuff. But you should, I mean, if you could check, I mean, there's still time. I hope you come.
I'll do my best. We'll see.
All right.
What month is it in?
November, the start of
Okay.
November.
See how sweaty hardcore is by that time.
Right?
All right, Oradar, you stream and stuff. Where can we find you?
I'm at Oradar HC on Twitch. That's pretty much where all my stuff is at. I really only stream raids at the moment, but I'm going to be streaming leveling for official and the PTR, so
Awesome.
hopefully I'll be doing that more.
Awesome. And guys, we will have all their links in the show notes or the YouTube stuff. Like just check the show notes if you want to know spelling. Kat, where can we find you?
At all my socials across the board are social.com/aprikitkat, which is a ridiculous spelling, but it's APRIKITKAT. Aprikitkat. Yeah.
Yep.
I had to think that one through.
We got
I
there. We
had
got
to
there.
literally like look at it multiple times to like make sure I was doing tweets and everything right.
Yeah, no, the problem is that I'm just Apricot, but there's a brewing company in Canada I reached out to when I first started streaming, and they had trademarked Apricot. It's one of their beers. I was like, if I ever get famous, are you going to sue me? And they're like, maybe. So I was
Maybe?
like, yeah,
Never
they
mind.
didn't really have like a good answer, so I had to change it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but maybe one day we'll do a whole swap. Not for now, though.
I like it. I
Well,
like it.
we'll have the link in the
That'll
notes,
be
so just
easier.
check it out there. And you can also find her on our Discord too.
Yeah.
She's one of the few people that take advantage of the promote yourself channel, and I wish you guys would take advantage of that more. I'd love to see your guys' starting out content. It's a whole lot of new content creators that are popping up because
For sure.
there's kind of a drought in content creation for like actual videos and stuff. So please, I implore you to join our Discord and post your stuff so I can see it and I can find it without having to search. So please, and then you might be a guest on the show. It'd be great. We get some new blood. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on this podcast. You can find me in game on Benediction. Or you can find me at BlizzCon.
Nice.
Partying it up.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch and Kick at BlazinBob. And yeah, we're going to get out of here, guys. Hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.